X Toycat, and I am destroying an entire trial chamber. This is the progress that I've made so far. I have the main corridor room turned into just a fountain where my chests lie. Then I have an entire second trial chamber, which is just the middle area where you could see some breezes, which is kind of fun if you ask me. Although apparently a lot of skeletons are spawning in here too. And so yeah, I'm slowly but surely turning the entire trial chamber into a pile of rubble. And next up, we have this hallway over here. This is going to be a particularly satisfying and fun one because it does have a couple of spawners on it, which have just been activated right now. And it's also going to be a fun time for my world because on top of doing a very big project, which I always love the destruction projects, today we are going to be particularly taking down spawners every half hour so I can max out my trial keys. I realized recently that I don't have every single, even though I have almost everything you can get from the Ominous Vault, I don't have everything you can get from the regular vault, so I'm building up my trial keys stash so I can do that better. But so that I can do that better, I also need to make sure that I build up on my chests. I have so much tough brick, and I need to have so much more, and that's going to require building in some headroom, so that's what we're going to do. Build this an extra couple of blocks up, and indeed, we're going to be working on the infrastructure around everything a little bit today, such as letting more light in through the sky and stuff like that, just to make it a slightly more pleasant experience. So come along for the journey, why don't you? I'm looking forward to it a lot. Hopefully, some of you are as well. Actually, I hope one person is. If one person is looking forward to it, then it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. That's the attitude you're meant to have in life, and I've just messed up the second. Those chests were not placed as well as they probably should have been. So we're just gonna place those all down. We're gonna pick them all up, and we're gonna try that one again. So we'll place this one on the side of that chest, maybe, and then this one on the side of that wall. But it doesn't want to let us... Okay, actually, there we go. We're great. So we just have to grab that chest, and I'm good to go, which I should be able to. There. So, yeah, I'm getting to the point of building chests where they're so tall that it's actually causing me problems, which is a fun problem to have, right? It's, I have so many chests that it's causing me issues. But you can see just how much tough bricks we are building up and collecting. I've got 4 shulker boxes full, and then 3 double chests, and I'm working towards a 4th. But yeah, before I can do any destruction today for my big project, I need to kill all of the trial spawners. I'm going to be doing this every 30 minutes, and hopefully we can take our key count from 26, where we're starting right now, to hopefully a little bit closer to an entire stack. Honestly, an entire stack of keys would be wild, right? So that's a good goal to aim towards. In the meantime, thank you, Kevin Sirocco, for becoming the 430th channel member. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing wonderfully on this fine Thursday evening. It's definitely Thursday. I know it's a Thursday because there was a snapshot recently. I've been on, it's been 121 mus recently, so 1.21 mus. I've been streaming every single, day for the last, this is my 8th day in a row now. And it's been a little bit of a wild one in terms of, keeping track of days and differentiating them and everything. But it has been so fun to have a good opportunity to just, pour all this time into Minecraft. I kind of talk about stuff like this in terms of excuses, right? It's I really like streaming, but it is oftentimes, compared to other things that I hear on the YouTube channel, it's not necessarily as logical for me to do on a time level. So it's fun to have an excuse, and it's also fun to pick up some keys. So yeah, thank you for everyone giving me those excuses, like Kevin Skirocco. So it's Kevin Skricocco. Kevin Skrico. Oh, I assume there was an extra Skrico. It's Kevin Skrico. I was just playing Gran Turismo last night, and I unlocked the Volkswagen. I think it's a Sirocco, but it might be a Skrico now too. I might just be horrible at pronouncing anything that has multiple double letters in there. So my bad. A sincere and deep apology. But yeah, let's go kill some skeletons. If they spawn up there, it causes a bit of a problem for me. Honestly, we need to work out a good solution to that in general. So getting rid of everything but the trial spawners seems like a really good idea, chat. Until you're at, oh god, we're gonna get wrecked over here. Oh no, I don't have another totem, chat. I can't be dealing with this. I'm getting so destroyed. That I just need to get out there now. Let me out. Bad start, I would say. But we'll make it a good start. We'll make it a good one. We'll put that back in there. Eat over here. And then as soon as the skeleton comes over, finish him off. So yeah, the pro tip with skeletons is when there are a big horde of them, you're basically dead. You need to, pick them off individually. When there's free fighting you like this, you're going to get hit multiple times. Hey, Timothy Cedars! Welcome back to Support Cat. Welcome to the channel member club. Put a slab on top of the spawners, says Jonathan Dad. Yeah, I think that's something I would like to test. Like, if we put a slab on top, will it prevent them from spawning? Because it makes it an unspawnable area, right? So hopefully, you would hope so that that would work that way. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to have to fly over. Okay, let's do it. No, I missed. For now, I'm just going to have to do bombing runs, basically, which is, you know, half of the fun of life. I think so, at least. So, yeah, it's going to be a real fun stream today. As always, we're going to dive into a little bit of everything and anything, and that's part of the fun of it, I think. It always feels weird to, like, say that out loud. It's, you know, like, but I think having long opportunities like this to have discussions is something that everyone's doing, like, in their head, even if not out loud, right? Is when you're in a long Minecraft build, it gives, or when you're in a long manual task of any variety, right? I've had so many subscribers explain, like, yeah, while I'm you know, in the factory doing this, or while I'm, even if it's doing something fairly manual, like just sitting on a stamp press somewhere, having something to think about is useful. Some people kind of like the head empty vibe going on, but some people would rather have a deeper discussion. Thank you, by the way, Jessup Kane, for another gifted membership. A lot of people are going to be able to see that bathing in Doritos videos now. That we can be sure of. That we can be sure. Where did the skeleton even come from, by the way? Like, he hurt me. I'm getting hit from something. Oh, there, it's that guy up there, right? Okay, I just didn't think he'd hit me from that far away. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take out the power bow. And we're just going to do it this way. Just, okay, goodbye. Now that you're knocked down, you can be... Although if we get a key from that anyway, like, what are we going to do about it? Okay, good news, no key, no problem. So, yeah, we only really care if we get a key, and if we don't have one, we don't have to care. So, yeah, with that said, we can get into the actual destruction now. Actually, no, we should finish up the last couple of rooms. It's an every half an hour thing, so we might as well do it in between the destruction that we're here for. Okay, so cave spiders, right? No, regular spiders. Kill a few of these, nice and easy. I really am thinking of getting a sharpness sword, chat. What do you think? I'm having a bit of a hard time working it out or not. But yeah, let's, you know, we'll be fine and great either way, I'm sure. But yeah, what do you reckon? Sharpness sword at this point? Especially for a trial chamber that looks like this. Like, it's so handy having smite for the skeletons. Such a game changer, don't get me wrong. But there are more mobs that don't get affected by smite in the trial chambers than do. And of the mobs you actually do want to affect, it is even closer, I would say. So give me a key, maybe? Yeah, 29 keys. Slowly building up that pile, I think. So, yeah, I shouldn't have let the breeze out there. He was nicely trapped, but that's fine. Another key? Nope, breads. That's okay, I guess. So, yeah, that is our trial chamber. We don't actually have as many spawners as you might. Actually, there's a couple more up here we'll go for. We don't have as many spawners as you might expect on any other world, but it does work out for us. Okay, skeleton spawner. I wonder why it's not working. You can see the skeleton in there, but no spawning, no problem. Just kill all of the spiders. Pick up that experience. Oh, there we go. The skeleton spawner's working, or at least some skeleton ended up over here. Don't ask me why. Creator's such an earworm. I like it, but it gets so stuck. Yeah, it's a I think Creator is really, really good. I've been saying this, but more and more it's been growing on me. Over time, I'm sure it will become my overall favorite. Whereas the more I listen to Precipice, I'm starting to see people's complaints that it sounds a bit like a Christmas song. And as soon as you hear it, you can't really unhear it, which is a bit of a problem. But yeah, now we're going to work on destroying this chamber right here, chat. I'm going to start from the top down, as always. And that means, I think this area over here is the least essential. And then we'll work our way backwards. Although we have basically no inventory spaces, so maybe it doesn't need to be a right here, right now thing. But we'll just unload some things in there, and then start some destruction over here. Okay, so up to the top of the pillar will allow me to destroy the ceiling most effectively. And then from here, just really tear it all apart. So, yeah, use water to get rid of snow. Yeah, I couldn't work out if I wanted to destroy the snow on purpose. There's something about that, you know? Maybe this is me being a passenger in my human experience in a way that I shouldn't be. But I feel like if I destroy the snow, it'll be gone, you know? Like, maybe, what if I want it later? What if there's a good reason for me to want all that powdered snow? I can't imagine there is. But yeah, it's one of the it's one of the weirder and more annoying interactions you can have. But yeah, speaking of how much of the chamber is left, says Pilly Bull. So we have destroyed 1 and like 3/4 of a main room and a couple of side rooms now. There is 1 more side room, 1 and then 3 more main rooms to destroy. Actually, I think we could argue 4 more main rooms. Yeah, I think you would say 4 more main rooms. So we are just over a third on the technicality. But I think we're much over a third because of how much we've destroyed of these chambers, even if we're not technically, you know, inside of them. So something important to say. Grab a bunch of buckets of the powdered snow, because you have iron, right? Yeah, that is the second option, and that also feels kind of dumb, and that's why I'm like in between a rock and a hard place. Like, do I want to preserve something so silly? The answer is probably not, but am I going to preserve something so silly? The answer is we're gonna have to wait and see, aren't we? It's entirely possible that's where I end up as an end solution on this. So yeah, we're gonna pick up some wax copper. No, we're not. Not yet, we're not. We're gonna go back to our place and we're gonna get it done. So Kat, do you think you'll do any more hardcore runs such as Ultra Flat? Either way, I'm enjoying the streams. Thank you, Caitlin, first of all. I think I'd like to do some, yeah. The next thing I have planned is I've got something fun planned, like another world I want to start. And oh, we filled up our polished tuff. No, we've got still another stack left, but we're about to fill up on polished tuff. Something very important to be aware of for ourselves. Also, there's a little pile in the corner there that we need to replace into this. I'm also very close to filling up on a chiseled tuff right here. Small problem, but a big small problem, it has to be said. Then we're going to put this away in there. And then because every time we fight the trial chambers, we just get junk. Like, I love the idea of a cooked chicken, don't get me wrong. But why am I even collecting them? The answer is at this point, clearly I have a problem. And also, we don't need to collect every single one of these iron chest plates. We can start throwing some away at this point. But not going to yet. I'm going to keep putting that problem off for another while. We be taking these resources home, says John Henry Adams. Oh, good to see you, John Henry Adams. I knew I recognized the name from somewhere, and now I know where. So, will I be taking the items home? Yes, I'm going to be recycling this into something new. Maybe a few multiple new things in this case. But there's so many good ideas for what to do with it. It's kind of given me a crisis in its own right. But, yeah, I will be taking it home, and it will be used for other builds. I'm not just destroying it to put it in a chest. It is going to come out of it. My plan is to replace the tuff with stone brick pattern, maybe. That's a fun idea. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things you could do if you're really feeling like it. So we're going to destroy this all the way down to there. We can't destroy the glass yet because we don't have a Silk Touch pickaxe out right now. And then we're going to destroy up to here. We're going to, if we're doing this area, we need to make sure we get the ceiling for this area. So we're going to start with that, starting like here. Go all the way up. And there's a layer of bricks just above that layer of polished tuff. And once we destroy both of those layers, we're good to go. Nice. Okay, then we're going to do the same, but over here. Again, just really trying to make sure we don't lose any tuff bricks to the water here. I'm going as delicate as I can while still maintaining some speed. There we go. Carved a hole out over there. And then we'll do the same just over here. Just make sure that it's not prohibitively hard for us to get to the ceiling elsewhere. I'm definitely going to, at this point, max out my polished tuff chest. And that means I'm going to need another one. But that's a small problem to have, right? So let's tear it all apart. Then let's run back along the same section and tear it all apart again. Oh yeah, so satisfying. So satisfying. The trial chamber that used to be here really is starting to rapidly be used to be here, right? Which is a nice feeling to have. So, you could make a copper golem tribute. I could make a tough golem tribute, a copper golem tribute, and then make another couple hundred copies of both. And I think I wouldn't be using up my supplies of tough brick. Has to be said, I've got a little bit more than most people probably want. But that's the right amount. By the time I get to the point of being more than most people are happy with, that's when I'd say I've like hit a happy point in a project. Yeah, once you've gone a little bit overboard, then you've hit the sweet spot, right? You can make a furnace to melt down the iron chest plates. Yeah, I think if I grab a grindstone and then a furnace, I could get some experience and then some iron nuggets. But even right now, do I need the iron nuggets that bad? No. Do I need the experience that bad? Chat, I'm level 69. I've been fighting so many monsters. I've gone from being someone who would usually just sit around level 30 to ending up at level 70, which isn't 2.5 times as hard as the master suggests. It's like 10 to 12 times as hard. It is a wild problem that I'm starting to build into. Not necessarily a bad wild problem, just a wild problem. So now, keep on destroying. I need to find a place to hang some torches. For now, I guess we'll just place one there. But we're running out of places that we can actually store torches where they will make a difference. Because I guess we can put them in one of the holes in the ceiling up here. Like, make a hole deliberately so we can put a torch in it. Yeah, that kind of works. Speaking of kind of working, I had goat for lunch today. Did you really have goat? I feel like the only time I ever see goat in cuisine is in Caribbean cuisine, and it's just, it's never enticed me. I feel like exotic meats just, I don't know, like, it exposes the weirdness of the whole meat system when you get to the exotic ones, right? By the time you're like, yeah, let's eat some whale, it's like, wait, you're gonna kill a whale just so I can eat? You know, why don't we just go to, you know, instead of having to kill an animal, why don't we just find chicken from the freezer, which, as we all know, just kind of gets there by itself. Maybe that's like a very particular in denial about where food comes from issue for me, though. But yeah, by the time you're like, yeah, let's curry a goat, it's like, ooh, I don't know about that one. I feel like there's lots of other things we could curry before we get to the you know, the family pet. But yeah, maybe that is me. I did have one of my ex-girlfriends had a goat, and she just let it roam around her garden and just like occasionally gave it crisps. And apparently that is how goats live. But yeah, it's weird to me that, you know, like the overlap between farm animals and food animals is usually like, we find it horrifying because we try to believe they're different categories. But the goat is the one exception where you're like, yep, we can have that as a pet or we can eat that. Because the one example that's always brought up is like in East Asia they eat, you know, like dogs. Even then it's like really uncommon. It's like it's low class food to eat dog. Like it's not, it's frowned upon in the same way that, hey, speaking of being frowned upon, thank you Soto Acronym. Thank you for becoming a member. Were you already a member though? Was that a remember message? Am I wrong about that one? So yeah, I was thinking of challenges for myself, and one of them made me think of you. What's the challenge, Jessup Kane? Goat's pretty good. It tastes kind of like lamb. I had it in Ugandan food. Oh. You know, I feel like taste like lamb is questionable though. Like lamb is the bottom tier of the major meats. Like, it's, no, that was weird. I think some people have like a major moral opposition to it or something like that. I'm not in that camp. But I just feel every time I go for lamb, I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. It's like, oh no, it's a very particular flavor. It tastes, you know, I don't know. It's not the best among the meats, I would say. Lamb, oh, I think it was lamb. They're almost the same. I mean, you can't have a pet sheep. I don't know why you can't have a pet sheep. You know, that feels incorrect now that I'm saying it out loud. But yeah, you can't have a pet sheep. And that's what the psychological difference is there, I think. So let's go in home. Also, what's that chest doing up there? I guess it must be part of one of the trials from somewhere or other. So load this one up with Chisel Tough. And then the next one is going to have to be Polish Tough. We're going to just have to say, there is a chest all the way up there where I load in the extra Polish Tough. And maybe some extra Chisel Tough bricks too. So what's your goal with destroying all of that, says Lance Vincent. Who's to say that I need to have a goal? You know, I don't want to be too obtuse about this or anything. Speaking of being too obtuse, let's finish these skeletons. I don't want to be too obtuse with my answer. But couldn't the project just be for the sake of the project? But my actual goal is I want to get all of the blocks and I want to use them to recycle into something bigger. I think that will be fun, and so that is what I am going to do in this one. So now we just walk over to you. That should be another trial chamber defeated, I hope. Actually, it didn't seem to say. So now we're going to pile some blocks up into here. And what is that? There we go. Breeze spawner started. So there's 3 more skeletons over there. I'm going to let them deal with the breeze. I guess I can't actually, because there's only 1 breeze at a time on non-ominous difficulty. And there we go. 6 skeletons. Easily defeated. That's a trial key up there. I hope there's not also a trial key up there. There is, chat. Ah. Oh, is that a trout key? No, that's, I don't know what I'm looking at, actually. It's too hard to see. So I'm just gonna have to fly up onto this. Always sucks. But there's a key here and there's bread there. So if I just... Okay, I can do this. I can do this. No, I can't. There's no way I'm doing that. Can I shoot it off with an arrow? I cannot. How about I put some water up there, and then I put a bunch of... Yeah, I think that's what I gotta do. I put some water up there, and then I put some buttons around it, and then that way the water will, like, flow off without causing any problems. No, it won't actually work. Wind charge it? Yeah, I think wind charging it probably is the move, actually, right? Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, let's wind charge. This is a very poor decision that I'm doing for fun, chat. Okay, did it move? It didn't. What if I hit it up like that? No, that's too far away. Okay, we're gonna go up to here. Again, there are better solutions to this, but I like a silly solution, chat. I always like a silly solution. How much copper have you got so far? I've got about a chest full of copper. I've got a lot more... Oh, hello. I've got a lot more tough bricks. What happened there? Then I've got copper, but I do have a healthy amount of copper too. Don't get me wrong. So then we're going to destroy these blocks. And just get in there, I guess. And then we're going to come up here. Okay, from here we should be able to knock it off. Okay, I've just got to nail the landing on that. Oh, it's not... Okay, I'm going to confirm this works with that one, right? Yeah, there we go. So we just have to make the wind charge hit the top of the spawner. Okay, so I'm just going to mildly adjust. Hey, we did it! We did it! Yeah! Okay, fun fact. You can do that. Why would you need to do that? Very interesting question. But you can, and I did. 31 trout keys. So that was very silly. Very glad we did it, though. Speaking of very glad, Super Suit MC. Basilisk is a delicacy here in Texas, as well as an exotic pet. You know what? Is it a delicacy if I haven't heard of it? This is a very ignorant worldview to have, but I'm going to stick with it, right? Like, I really do believe that all the really good foods, right? All the ones that are so good, they transcend borders because people are moving them from place to place. Whereas all the questionable foods stay in one place forever. And I hate to say, that's what Basilisk might be, Super Soup. Also, can you beat Minecraft without ever going up, says Jessup Kane. Can you beat Minecraft without ever going up? That's a really interesting question. So, the answer seems like it would be hard on the surface. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Can you beat Minecraft without elevation changes? Is no, but can you beat Minecraft without going up? Is a little bit harder to get to. I think, yeah, defeating the dragon would be hard, and you might not be able to go through the end portal. Yeah, unless you count ender pearling. Unless you can, like, say that's not going up, it's being teleported up. You'd be able to get to the dragon, you'd be able to slay the dragon, but you wouldn't be able to say you did it without going up, because you'd have to go up between the end portal and the thing. So yeah, fun question though. I like that theory. I like that concept a lot. Be a very silly video I'd love to have made a few years ago. Speaking of making things a few years ago, let's tear this all apart. And yeah, let's also take a second to. Could you you could boat into a corner? Says Jessup Kane. Does that count? Are you saying if you don't? I guess you could. Like, you can do a lot of things to go up that don't include jumping. There's a lot of ways to get it done, I guess. No, you're too low. You know, Steve's stomach is so strong that gold can be digested. Did you know that a human being's stomach is so strong that gold can be digested? There's quite a lot of human foods that have edible gold in them. Like, gold leaf is a thing that you can just eat. It's not, like, good for you, but it's not bad for you. Like, it's entirely digestible. It gets a lot more questionable if you want to eat, like, a 24-carat gold ring or something. But still, I mean, like, people eat those things. It does happen. And it's just not like a high source of nutrition, right? And the claim from Minecraft is that if you eat gold, you magically get more health. It's like you go to the doctor and he's like, this patient, what he needs right now is he needs a vegetable or a fruit, whichever one we get our hands on, and he needs access to as much gold as we can pull together. Staff, please, have you got any watches or anything like that? Sounds like a scam doctor, doesn't it? Hello, I'd like to say thank you to whoever gifted my membership to me, says Cactus Cat Kyle. I believe that would have been Jessup Kane. Also, Blood's chair uses an invisibility potion. Usually when I have a totem in my offhand, it looks like I'm deliberately... when I have a totem in the offhand, it looks like I am deliberately going through it, like I'm sitting in a Totem of Undying chair. But yeah, this is Minecraft's own official chair, right? This is the Minecraft chair. And it is to get your hands on the Minecraft chair, you need to... You have to accept that it's going to go green screens, and that's just the reality of existence. So, Timothy Cedars gifted 5. You missed it. Oh, thank you, Timothy Cedars. You know, it was the biggest tip from the batch. Timothy Cedars. I do not see it. You became a member, though. Thank you. What was the tip? Say it again. I'll like, you can just say it. You don't have to tip it again. We'd love to know. But yeah, now we're gonna place a bunch of torches on this wall because we're about to destroy everything that's next to it. And then once we've done that, we can basically destroy this entire section of Trial Chamber. Yeah, today's gonna be a very efficient day because of all the legwork that we've poured in before. It means that we kind of just have to top it off. It was at the beginning of the stream, there was no messages, just 5 memberships. Oh, that's exciting. So, it was the same time as the gifted members. Useful. Okay, so we're gonna go to sleep, by the way. It's been too long. And then I'm also gonna say that one of the things that I did to lay the groundwork for all the rest of this being so good is one of the things I think I need to do is I need to let more light in via that glass, which I can do so easily. I just have to break the blocks underneath it. I just haven't gotten around to doing so yet. And so why don't I specifically get around to doing so? I'll empty my inventory one more time. I'm doing this all day, every day, sometimes it feels like. But it's an important part of it all. Place it all in there. Place this over here. And also, Super Sue MC. Basilisk is more commonly known as ringtail. But people have an ignorant tendency to confuse it with lemur. With the lemur, there's a type of lemur that, you know, I have questions. I'm not that big into barbecue. It sounds like I would be. Like, I like a very meaty flavor sometimes. Every time I get barbecue, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. But, like, everyone acts like this is some incredible food. And I think it's just, like, culturally, some foods, like, hit better for some people or something like that. And it especially works if you've had it since you're a child. Like, the idea of a Happy Meal just sounds good, right? If you're like, you know, like, there's a happiness that comes with that you wouldn't get if you found some random adult who hadn't heard of it, and you're like, look, you get an extra small burger, the smallest portion of fries known to man, and then you get like a bag of apples or something. But then there's this weird cheap toy they literally buy for 33, you know, cents on the individual scale because they're buying so many. They do basically nothing, and if you go again, you'll probably get the exact same one because it's sad the way it seems to be done on a non-random basis. No one would be excited by that. At age 22, I still eat Happy Meals. See how happy they make you, Caitlin? Bet you can't say the same about a barbecued ringtail. But yeah, I'd love to get like a barbecue connoisseur to like walk me through it, to describe to me all the flavors. I got 2 calls in the same trial. Underwhelming weapons, says Pyrite. You went through all the effort of getting a mace, and now you're like, yeah, I'm not sure I love this so much. That's sad. Makes sense, but also sad. So yeah, this is the area I wanted to dig underneath. So we're going to just do that right now, preferably without letting the, oh god, why do you have to be here? So we're gonna try not to let that into here, and we're also gonna try not to drown, I guess. Yeah, that's bad. Drowning is second least preferred way to go on this one. And we have to let water out of there. Okay, so now, oh, where's the water coming from now, chat? Oh, up there, I think. So we have to place like a cobblestone there. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, okay, we have messed this one up badly. Okay, I'm just gonna break some blocks. I'm gonna land myself in these blocks. Okay, just let me down. Let me in. Okay. So now we can just go up, destroy everything above me, and then destroy everything below me, and that'll let more light into this place that we love so much. And eventually we can make it like a giant skylight. But for now, I just want to make it so there's more opportunity for light to get in. I don't know how I'm gonna do that correctly, but you better believe I'm trying, chat. So just break a few blocks up there. And then, yeah, that's mostly good. Although we're kind of in the wrong area if we're destroying those. We probably want to be destroying anything with glass directly above it. Right? That seems like a good place to start. So if there's a light above these blocks and no water, that's water. Okay, so if there's water above it, then it's a no-go. We want to only do the blocks of light above them. I'm learning a lot by attrition here, chat. Is there a... Okay, there we go. So these two blocks here, if we destroy both of these, then all of a sudden we'll have a much easier time letting more light into the structure. And as long as there wasn't anything that will be destroyed by water down there, there's basically no downside to this anyway. So it looks like we can actually, funnily enough, with the haste beacon, we can beat the water down to get to the surface. So Cat, please let me show you biscuits and sausage gravy and some other covered chunked hash browns. Covered chunked hash browns does sound delicious. I don't know what I'm hearing about right now, but it does sound pretty damn good. So we have to destroy all of these blocks to keep letting light in, which is a little bit of a weird one. Wait. Oh, so this is the wrong set of light. This is the light for over here, which isn't quite as useful as the light that I wanted over there. But that's okay. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to destroy this area so I can access these chests slightly better. So we'll place the torch over there instead, and then just destroy all of this. Get it all done at the same time. Like, make everything that we can make accessible just as accessible as the rest. By removing all of these walls, we make a very clear statement that we are here, and we're doing something good. Yeah, I regularly come in and out of this trial chambers, so having easier access will be really great. So we can't, that's Waffle House lingo. Oh, interesting. Isn't Waffle House where you go to watch fights? I've never... Again, I'm not... This is a part of American culture that has escaped me. But I believe there is a restaurant that you go to specifically when you want to get involved in or watch a fight. And I think that's Waffle House. Might be getting it mixed up with another one there. Speaking of another one there, make a statue in the trial chambers. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool with an idea to build... Like, I feel like they... A lot of the Minecraft developers said they love the statues in the Willow Mansion. It'd be kind of fun to have a reprisal of that in a structure like this, right? But yeah, with that said, we've now got enough blocks to load some stuff in there. We've got some junk that isn't going to go anywhere. Oh, we got a lot of junk that isn't going to go anywhere. And so we'll put it in this chest. Yeah, solving my junk problems for another day. Just don't need this stuff right now. I have such a hoarding problem, chat. Like, it is a serious hoarding problem. Someone needs to come and deal with this on my behest. But in the meantime, this is what I've done. It works just about. Okay, perfect. Got here just in time for the Waffle House discourse. Excellent. Seriously considering driving 90 miles to my nearest one. So what is the benefit of the Waffle House? That's what I don't understand. I feel like there is some key missing ingredient that has to be... I don't know, like it... So, like, getting involved in a fight sounds like not my ideal time. I see why some people like it. Like, to this day, the weirdest thing to me is, like, when I was, like, 15 and some of my friends were trying to describe why they enjoyed going to, like, metal concerts. They're like, yeah, you get in a mosh pit and you get to, like, you know, like, kind of get aggressive with other people. And it's like, that doesn't sound like fun. What is going wrong in your life where you need a space to, like, you know, like, well, hurt other people, right? But yeah, I think, okay, so we gotta get out the way of these baby zombies with their swords. I think I'm not gonna be able to in time. Ooh, yeah, bad times. Have you found Windburst yet? I know it's super rare on Bedrock. I'm deliberately calling off my search until they patch the game for that. It feels like an important thing to be so broken. But yeah, there we are, right? Didn't like the baby zombie. Hey, IBX Toy Cat. Long time no parasocial talk. Hey, good to see you, J-Man91. Has it been a long time? The beauty of the parasocial relation. Oh god, chat. Oh, it's a lot of different skeletons and armor. Okay, so we got cooked chicken, and hopefully for this we'll get a key. We didn't get a key, so we just fought all those enemies for nothing. But it's fine. We'll just load it in there. Make even more places to store stuff. So, yeah, I'm one of those mosh pit enjoyers. Back in the day, I definitely saw some more violence. Nowadays, mosh pits are like pillow fights, and cardio is still fun though. Yeah, like, I can understand that, like, the real version of it is, yeah, you kind of, like, you go into a place and you get some energy out and blah, blah, blah. But, like, people are like, yeah, you have to, like, you know, like, sometimes you get stabbed, people get really hurt. And it's like, man, that's not how you sell me on something, right? Is be like, here's how bad something could be. And just know someone else is getting enjoyment out of how bad it is for you. It's like, oof, that, you're gonna have to give me a better sales pitch. You know, it never came up, thankfully. But, so we might not yet be getting good win burst rates yet, but we can hoard ominous keys. Exactly, Hack1MC. That is genuinely my plan. Is I'm going to be doing a little bit of hoarding, just a little bit. And one day, the hoarding will all come in, you know, to be especially important. Is it the best strategy ever? No. Is it a strategy? Yes. A strategy, you definitely can't not call it. So, I think this entire half of this chamber is going to go now. And once we destroy this half, we need to make staircases into this half. We still have this ladder, which is handy. But I think from this side, we want to have a proper staircase up and down into it. So let's carve one out from here. We'll start with this big pillar. And then work our way into the side. Let's do it. The waitress let me sip the iced tea because when I was in Georgia, we asked someone where to get breakfast, and someone overheard and drove ahead of us to show us the way to Waffle House. The waitress watched me sip the iced tea because she knew it wouldn't be what I was used to. Weird experience. That is very weird. I want to go to a Waffle House now. Is that... So the sales pitch is you're going to have a different time, but different is good. I mean, like, new experiences are good. I think that's interesting. But then how do you get a cult following out of being so different, right? Because surely Waffle House can only be different the first time you go. Maybe I'm still missing something. Yeah, I think, felt like I was a main character, says Chantal, actually. So, we got a comment, by the way. I want to talk about something interesting. So it's a comment from someone who may or may not be, who says, "I love your content. I was inspired by you and many other YouTubers, and now I'm here." So it's a verified account, and I feel like it's there's a 50-50 as to whether that's a real heartfelt message, or whether that's like okay, if I just drop my name in enough places, people will have heard about me. I can do it in the vein of like I'm saying something humble, but it is. I think it's something to watch out for as a viewer. It's like, yeah, this person is reinventing the wheels on the self-advertising train. And I want to give I want to give just in case that second thing is true, even if it's not, I want to give the pro tip out here, which is that like in general, I feel like the best forms of like, you know, stuff like that, like, because you always see comments being like, oh yeah, go subscribe to my channel. It's been years since the epidemic of that happened, but it just never really was effective. That's why it's very, very rare to find a channel that got big because of it. Check his history. He spams that he has 100k subscribers. Yeah, YouTube has comment history now, so it's good for stuff like that. But yeah, my advice is generally, it's not like I have no like ill will towards you or anything like that. Like you're working out a good strategy for you. I just don't think it's a good use of your time. Like the same amount of time that you think is well spent in, you know, like advertising a channel is actually better spent in saying like, okay, the lazy thing that people say is like, how do you make your content better? But that's like the broadest thing to say. Like, oh yeah, instead of spending your time trying to, I don't know, like get dates, try to make yourself better. That's real advice people give too, by the way. It's like, oh, don't bother trying to find a relationship, just improve yourself and it'll find you. But it's like, well, that's not the actual problem I'm trying to solve, right? It's like, you know, like, but even if you are saying that, at some level of improvements, people still need to I'm still going to have to solve the date problem, right? And so you might say the same thing as a YouTuber. Like, no matter how good the content is, if people don't get recommended your videos, then they will never watch it. And so how do you solve that one? Am I spending my time well? I wonder, says David Solomano. That's a very ominous message. Yeah, I wonder too, David. Are you spending your time well? Are you? Is this experience as good as a Waffle House? What can we do to this channel to make it more comparable to that of a Waffle House? But yeah, so just got this video recommended to me right now, says Sheldrake. See, exactly. This video where I'm literally just destroying a trial chamber got recommended before one that someone's poured their heart and soul into over the course of weeks. That sucks, right? And I think on YouTube it's like, yeah, a big part of like the system is how do you work up to those first few viewers. But that's why YouTube now has this thing where it's trying to show you channels with 11 views. It's trying to show you, like, the type of person who might enjoy being the first person to watch something before it becomes the next big thing. They're trying to give those people the next big thing so that they can see it and they can enjoy it. It's like in the music world, right? People love to be able to say that, oh yeah, I knew this band before they were cool. You know, I knew them way back when. It is people's favorite thing to say. I think it's like a wild thing to enjoy. It's like, you don't get extra credit for knowing something before everyone else knows it, right? It feels like you should get it. I understand that gatekeeping exclusivity. Waffle House is greater than Toy Cat, which is greater than Netflix. Thank you, David Solomano. Second place on your entertainment tier list. Beaten only by the fact that the Waffle House is 90 miles away. So, yeah, I think the really important thing is, like, at some point you need to realize that your time is limited, and you need to break down the task of, like, making stuff better so that people will discover it into, like, okay, what is better? You can be good at something by being the very best at something. Like, you can make the best Minecraft videos by working out the highest quality format for that. You'd be extremely funny, you have incredible editing, you have incredible concepts and storyboarding.
I'm getting recommendations for Tamil sports content. I blame you somehow.
I wonder if the internet's just trying more and more stuff like that. Like, okay, just based on demographics, we know that people, you know, people of your age, your variety will really enjoy some Tamil sports. Or maybe you've outed yourself as having values which are equivalent to that of a Tamil. There was a billionaire Sri Lankan in the news today in the UK. It was for like weird, I don't know, like identity-based political reasons. But what I thought was interesting is like he said something very agreeable. He said something that I agree with. He's like, yeah, and when my parents brought me here from Sri Lanka, and I was like, oh, that's fun. Maybe I didn't agree with him because we had the same opinion or whatever it was. Maybe he didn't say something that sounded agreeable. Maybe he just said something that sounded Sri Lankan enough to me. What if instead of agreeing with things because we have some logic, rational brain, what if we're all really just super, oh my god, what if we're super caveman-like, tribe people-like, and we just go, yeah, booga booga, this opinion makes sense in my homeland, so it makes sense here. By the way, 6,234 days, says Jessup Keynes. It's a pretty nice number of days, right? We could probably up the count more, because we probably should sleep soon anyway. Wonder how breakfast compares to Waffle House. I'm always shocked when I see the price for Wetherspoon's breakfast. Like, I know this is not a unique take, chat, but have you noticed the prices have gone up? I know, right? It's crazy. This is a discussion that only I have noticed. So I'd like to come with my groundbreaking research and say to you that prices have in fact gone up. And I think, but actually, most people just say it all the time. Like, oh, prices are so high. But actually, like, I look at all the things I buy. When things get too expensive, I switch products and stuff like that. And so, like, from my experience, some things got really expensive. But most things stayed more or less the same, like within 10% of where they were. But every now and then, you get these giant jumps where you're like, wow, that thing has just doubled in price. And so what's interesting is fast food prices. I think they finally hit me just how high we've gotten. Is like the normal now is used to be like a real fancy one from before, and the fancy one from before is now like, what are you even doing at McDonald's at that price point? But I think I had a very shocking McDonald's experience. It really drove it home for me. But and yeah, I think that's just like a thing that happens in your life. Like, have you ever seen photos of McDonald's menus from the 70s, chat? If you haven't, give it a look. Like, even McDonald's in like 78 or whatever the image is. But it was just under 50 years ago, and hamburgers were 5 cents. I don't know what the UK equivalent was, but presumably less because the pound was stronger to the dollar at that point. So like 5p for a hamburger, even less by actual conversion rates. That's insane, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. By the way, we can destroy the entire pillar around this because we know that we... of all the blocks, this is the one that's easiest to deal with. And then we'll make some slabs, and we'll make... Oh, it's dark. Make sure we place one of those down. Then we'll place some slabs, and we'll put them on top of all the spawners, I think. A useful thing to do for the future. So it's entirely gone now, chat. This chamber, which was just down to its last pillar, I think we can almost say is destroyed. 5 cents, are you for real? Yeah. And then you can see it from like the 80s, and it's like, oh, it's a quarter. Wow, crazy. And so, yeah, there was a huge period of inflation, right? Somewhere between those two times, the amount that money was worth just went down. The amount that things cost went hugely up. And if you're born after that fact, you just accept it, right? In the same way that someone born today will probably say, yeah, like £10 for McDonald's, that sounds about right. That's what £10 should buy you. And I think that is interesting. It's like, inflation, once it happens, it's like set in forever. But also, it almost feels essential, right? It's like it's I don't know, like a part of that makes me feel like someone who's like really. I don't think anyone's a fan of inflation. I don't think there's anyone who's like, yeah, I love me some inflation, inflate it all the way. But one of the fun things about it is like it's a way to, I don't know, recontextualize every era. But also, it seems terrifying to think like, oh yeah, if you live till 60, you'll get to the point where it's like £400 for a McDonald's meal. And like, a nice meal out at a restaurant will be £6,000. And like, oh yeah, you want a drink? Oh, that's going to be £2,000 each. But eventually money will be devalued to that point. It feels like if it's an inevitability, there's like, got to be ways to escape that happening. Because that feels very dumb, right? I mean, debtors are a fan of inflation, e.g. every government. Yeah, if you... The smart... to do a little bit of economics talk here, the people who lose out from inflation like that, because in the long run, like, it seems like it doesn't affect anyone, because if prices just are inevitably going up over time, you'll get paid more over time, because no one is going to work a job for the same wage that you would work it in 1960, because the same wage that would buy you 100 hamburgers then will buy you 10 hamburgers now, or whatever it is, right? But, inflation does also push up wages, because it pushes up what people need from their wages. But it does two interesting things. It means anyone who has cash savings, i.e. in a bank, but way more importantly just in cash, your money becomes worth less over time. If you were in the 60s, if you were in the 80s and you saved, you're like, okay, I'm gonna put away enough money for 100 hamburgers so that any time I want to have 100 hamburgers, I can just do it. You put away your $25. You pull it out now because you're like, I'm finally gonna, get those 100 hamburgers worth. It took 40 years. But I've fallen on hard times, and 100 hamburgers would help me out a lot now. And it turns out that you actually get, what do you get for like $25? Like probably like 4 meals, right? Maybe if you buy the very cheapest ones, you might get like 20. And so you're losing out money on that. And the ups, so like you lost your money from your savings, whereas anyone who is borrowing large amounts of money, they have the opposite problem. They owed 100 hamburgers. They're like, one day I'll pay you enough money for 100 hamburgers, and then the time comes that they've got to pay you 40 years later. You get excited because you've heard that, oh, you're getting 100 hamburgers worth, plus you're getting interest on that debt. You're getting 110 hamburgers. Oh, it's going to be a good time. Except now you're getting 110 hamburgers of 1980s money, and so what does that actually equal to? Like 5 burgers today instead of 4. But you still come out worse as a result. So if you are a creditor, if you lend money to someone, you don't want inflation. If you are a debtor, You do want inflation. And so those are the two, like, effectively inflation is a transfer of money from anyone who has savings to anyone who is borrowing money, which then effectively, because the biggest, not almost all debt, the largest individual sources of debt in the world are governments. So when inflation happens, it is moving money from people to governments. But the way it works is like much more like, you know, like it's kind of more targeted than that. It's actually saying, yeah, of the things that exist in the economy, you know, the government is willing to print money to to buy those things, whereas you are not able to print money to buy those things. Which is why in the, what's interesting to me is that somehow, for whatever reason, so we got another key. What's interesting though is we used to have economies where, also another key, nice. We did used to have economies where the money supply was fixed. You could create more money under the gold standard, which is what was used for the majority of history, but it means an interesting thing. If you use gold as money, which is a fixed currency, it prevents the ability to inflate it, right? So it's really good for anyone who wants to save money. In fact, under most non-fiat currencies, your money appreciates over time. Because if you think about it, right, you buying the money that buys you 100 hamburgers in 1980, if you ignore inflation, with all of the advancements in how they make hamburgers today, shouldn't you get more than 100? You know, the same amount of money, if money had the same value, should buy you like 105, 110. Maybe if you're really optimistic, 200 hamburgers if there was no inflation. And so, over time, if you have money, if you have money that doesn't inflate, you have an appreciation of your savings that way, which then sounds really good. Who's not in favor of that, right? But interestingly, it led to one of the weird problems that it leads to is a zero-sum game. It's a real Cantillon effect. Boys and girls. I'm legally gonna leave, says Noah the Miner. I hope that regardless of whatever you said, I have no ill will against you, Mr. Noah. But I do hope that you take the idea of like, okay, what do you actually do seriously? And the most important thing is like, yeah, rather than assuming you can be the best at everything, either be the best at one thing or be the best at one thing and be unique. I think that there are a lot of people, if there are a lot of people in the world who are willing to be subscribed to, what's a big Minecraft YouTuber these days? I feel like one of those like nostalgia YouTubers, like Dan TDM is a good example. Like he's got millions of subscribers, but it's not like you make a video that's better than his and you'll get some of his subscribers, because he got his subscribers years ago, and there are people who are like, oh my god, I'm watching this video from this time. So yeah, interesting thing. By the way, in my area, $15 an hour is standard here. Minimum is $7.25. Problem is, $15 an hour is the minimum just to be able to get living. There's probably an interesting there's an interesting feeling everyone has. I don't think it's true. It's economically not true, but there's a feeling everyone has, and so I don't just like shoot feelings off by saying like, well, there's science that says it's not. But the feeling everyone has is like, yeah, as you raise minimum wage, as you raise the minimum amount that someone can make, that amount then becomes the amount that you need to buy the minimum lifestyle. It's an interesting set of logic that is used very commonly. By the way, speaking of things, why are you not reading all my messages at all? Toy Cat says Time Warp 41. I assure you, it was because I was on a long inflation rant and not because your messages were terrible. You know, actually, it could have been the last one, but I didn't. I want to finish my rant anyway. One of the biggest problems with a non-inflationary environment, with using a currency that is fixed, which is what we use in gold, is it means that when a country pays another country, or when a country steals from another country, let's say, it is a zero-sum game. When Spain pays the UK $100,000, that money that Spain paid the UK is money that can't circulate around their economy because they literally don't have the gold anymore. Like, money in the Western world is, there is as much money as we can believe there is money. That sounds fake, but that really is the basic gist of it. Simplifying a lot of effects down there. But, you know, like, there is as much money as we believe there is money. But when money is physical, when you have to weigh out certain amounts of gold or use physical coins that are made from precious materials, there can only be as much money as there is precious materials. And it creates this, like, weird effect of actually really ruining some stuff. So yeah, rant more about inflation, says Akash Warrior. I don't think so, but here's the thing: I don't have a huge rant about inflation. I think that instead of like, there's a lot of things in life where it's important to take your stake. This is something I've said before in this very same Destruction of the Structure series. But you need it's good to have a personal opinion, and it's really important to. But then you need to take the next step, which is working out. Okay, but assuming that things continue as they do, because they sure do look likely that they will. What is it that I can do about that? What is it that I should best do? A lot of people hear step one and they're like, you know, I hear about some big thing and I think that's really bad, so I'm just going to do nothing about it. And it's like, oh, but doing nothing that's not going to help anyone. That's going to make a lot of things substantially worse, actually. You need to have a plan that is evolved around. So I think you basically have to accept, like, okay, even though debt sucks, I think especially if you grow up without as much money, as I think there's a common experience, you know, I sadly common experience. If you grow up without access to as much money as maybe some, like, you have this just built-in experience, which is like, yeah, having no money sucks. And so debt is seen as, you know, debt is literally negative money, right? Like, what's the only way to get negative money? To owe someone else money. But in the real government sense that it exists today, debt exists in a more bizarrely abstract sense. As it exists today, debt is a bit more of a, like, yeah, you owe them this amount of money, but, you know, like, debt is this weird cyclical thing. It's almost a good thing. If you can buy something that really exists, that has value, that will appreciate, and you can buy it with debt that does not appreciate, then that is how you get wealthy. Okay, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to get it. Yeah. There's another key up there, though. Yeah, I've got to work out a good solution to this, chat. What do you reckon? Should I just install some ladders on the walls? IBX new video from you. Oh, exciting! It was yesterday's video, but we made a big mistake in putting it together. It all kind of fell apart. It was a funny mishap, some could say. I hope I one day get to the point of, yeah, but I was pretty non-stressed about it, all things considered. I'm gonna put these down there, so we can keep a constant eye on our number of trial keys. Just trying to pile up as many as we can here. Then we'll load this into there and these into there. And so yeah, within the world that exists, right? Within the non-perfect world in which we currently inhabit, sadly, you're gonna be like, okay, so even though debt really is against most people's instincts, you've got to work out which debts are smart. Any debt which has high interest rates are not smart in general, and any debts that have low interest rates are smart. If you can borrow money for less than inflation costs you, then you are winning. Ladders on the walls would help with debt, you're right. Good to see you, Rue, by the way. Hope you've been enjoying 1.21 as well. Use scaffolding to reach the spawners. I feel like scaffolding's a bit ugly. I mean, ladders could be ugly too, I guess, but yeah, we could maybe install some. Yeah, I guess if we use scaffolding, we can easily destroy it later if we do want to get rid of it. Which, why wouldn't we, right? So yeah, I think I think if that was yesterday's video, is there another today? So whenever something like that happens, what we do is I put a bit of extra work into it, and then I hopefully end up a day ahead. Okay, so this thumbnail is really, really, really bizarre, chat. Have you seen it? Oh, it's got two thumbnails. Right. Oh. I've never seen this. Or is it two thumbnails? Chat, does the thumbnail on today's video look normal? So yeah, I think I've got to probably the title's so long on the video. I was just looking at it, I'm like, I can't leave a title this long. So it looks so saturated and bright. You know, as long as you can see, to me, because so chat, thumbnail A/B testing just rolled out on YouTube. It's something YouTubers have been doing forever, but only big YouTubers who have automated tools can actually see the effective results on. So now YouTube is going to YouTube's going to give half of people one thumbnail and half of people another thumbnail, and it's going to see which group will watch the video for longer. This is an insane thing that this is true. The more interesting statistic is who clicks on it, but it's insane that it's true that based on which thumbnail you click for a video, based on which title you see for a video, you will watch that video for longer or less. Like if I titled the video 1.21, 1.22 release date confirmed, you know, Mojang gone sexual, a lot of people would click, but the people who did click would watch for less time. So you want to find the sweet spot, and then, you know, that might sound like, oh yeah, well, you clickbait, obviously people watch less than real bait. But there are some titles that make a video more palatable, and some thumbnails that will make a video more palatable than the opposite. It's something that's one of the struggles on YouTube. One of the things that I think is worth really getting good at, really worth trying with at least, is working out what is a successful thumbnail and what is not. It is a very, very weird skill. It's like learning headline English. And this is how I kind of refer to it, is if you think about newspaper headlines, they're not written in the way that people talk. They're written in the way that grabs people's attention. So you need to be good at that for YouTube, basically. So I see the buff nerf split thumbnail. Okay, I'll show you what the two thumbnails look like. So one of them has a X on it, and one of them doesn't have an X on it. If you see the one with a X on it, you are in the B group. If you see one without an X on it, you're in the A group. They're pretty similar, actually. I just asked Harrison to do two of them. But if you have the one with the X on it, you're in group B. No X for me, says Great Owl Master. Looks like you're Mr. A group. And so yeah, it's going to determine from which group you're in, which of you watched the video more. And then that will give me the information to know, for example, one of these things has a red X on. Does a red X encourage someone to watch a video for longer, or will it encourage someone to watch a video for less long? Yeah, it's that sort of stuff, right? I hopefully am going to learn some direct lessons from this, because I've had to work out most of what I know about why people watch YouTube videos by trial and error, and every now and then I get it really wrong, and it's like offensively wrong, right? So I'm trying my best to not avoid that. I got an X, so I'm group B. So yeah, now you know if you're A or B, and based on who's in A and B, obviously there's some small amount of variation from person to person, but over a large enough number of people, we can be fairly sure that the effect isn't random, right? So kill all of you now. I'm hoping that I don't get a trial key. I don't know what I'm doing. Actually, you know, let's not even kill them. If I don't know what to do about that trial key, which I just got, what are we gonna do about it, chat? I can't throw a wind charge at it again. So I guess we'll temporarily install, just temporarily, right? Not for a long time. We'll install some scaffolding right here, just so we can get up there. Seems like a good investment. Feels a bit weird to do, but then we can also use this to put our, like later when we want to do that, we can put our things on this. So it's going to be double good, right? A group for me. Does it give you any stats about the audience that got each, like age, geography, or gender? It doesn't. In theory, it's entirely random, right? It'd be really interesting if it accidentally didn't. But yeah, if you, so this is a fact that doesn't sit right in people's minds. So I'm going to share it with you, and you can disagree with it, and that's okay. Tell me if you disagree with this, chat. In fact, but if you take 1,000 random human beings. Genuinely random. If you could randomly select 1,000 human beings from across the, you know, let's say the UK, right? Just 1,000 human beings in the UK. Statistically, if you do it randomly, that group will be fairly well age, race, political opinion, etc. adjusted. And therefore, if you ask those 1,000 people, who are you voting for this election? And if they are honest with you, there's a lot of assumptions about how you get them. This is where things can fall apart. But if they are honest with you, as in recent times people have been less wanting to do, you know, because of the demonization of certain types of politics. But if they are then honest with you about who they are voting for, you have a good sample of what the wider public believes. Then if you ask them again next week, not even ask them again, ask another 1,000 people next week, who are you going to vote for? And way more people say one person than the other, there's a good chance that some people have switched and changed their mind. If it's a small difference, then it's probably statistical error. But if it's 50-50 on the first sample, and on the second it's like 80-20 in favor of one candidate, and it's truly random, and people are truly telling the honest answers, then that is the basic, that's the basic gist behind how That's the basics just behind how polling works. But you can use that for more or less anything. Is if you want to work out what people think about a thumbnail, it's the same logic. As long as you're not selecting for those factors. Because if you gave only, you know, white people thumbnail A and only Latinos thumbnail B with the X on it, you would only be working, you wouldn't be able to properly compare the data. For the data to be comparable, you have to see both. And so this is what a lot of like Hollywood studios and like, I don't know, political companies too, like places where they need to have a broad range of opinions. Because, you know, in a lot of industries, it's just, you know, like what the founder or whatever, whoever, someone in charge thinks is like good enough. But then in like, I don't know, for a movie to be successful, one where you spend hundreds of millions, it has to appeal to 60% of the population, so that off that 60%, 20% might go see it, right? And so you do that by asking a bunch of people what they think about a thing and trying to just be like, okay, their opinions are clearly correct, my thoughts are wrong. And that's how you get some bizarre movie choices. Is you get things that technically everyone says they like, but no one really loves, is I think a common problem that people state. Okay, with that said, Toycat, are you voting for Trump or Biden, since you're obviously an American? Okay, politics talk, let's do it. I am voting illegally, keep in mind, as non-citizen. I can't even make jokes about that. I feel like I'll get deported one day. I'm not even in the US and I fear I'm gonna get deported. But yeah, just in case you're watching US CBP, I swear to God, I'm in British land. I love when you yap, says no other miner. Thank you for saying you love when I yap. I love when I yap too. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here, chat. I'd be out at I'd be out eating lobster rolls right now. But you know, I do enjoy being here, and so I shall be here instead of eating the lobster rolls, yapping about everything from inflation to polling. But yeah, chat. So do let me know if you like your thumbnail, and if you have an X on your thumbnail, tell me if you think it'd be better without the X. Actually, wait, no, let's do this right now. So chat, guess right now. Make your guesses. I'll let you know as soon as I know, probably the next stream we do. Make a guess, which thumbnail will more people watch the video, click on, which thumbnail will be better on the YouTube level? The one with the red X, which you might have, or the one without the red X, which you don't have. We're testing two versions against each other. I'm excited. Also, we just ignored the voting question, says non-consistent potato. Because I'm a non-US citizen. It's not my say about who becomes the president. Even if I want it to be my say, that's not how democracy works. I mean, actually, on this channel, it's how democracy works. Like, democracy is what Toycat wants, with a little sprinkling of what the human beings want. But, you know, we run this channel like a dictatorship. But no, there is I do think there's a problem that a lot of people have. Is a lot of non-Americans are like, yeah, I have really strong opinions on this election, which is fine, you're allowed to have strong opinions. But the reason that you probably think about the people the way you do is because you're not from the country. Their job isn't to be popular with you, someone living in, you know, the Netherlands. It's not their job to be popular with someone living in, you know, like in Australia. That's just not the job of the American president. If it was, they would be doing a bad job at actually being a democracy. Their job is to appeal to the people who live in the United States. The people of voting age, I guess we should say, living in... And if we're being entirely more realistic than that, it's not even their job to appeal to those people. It's their job to appeal to the people who live within the most swingy of swing states. This is... But yeah, chat, make your guesses. We'll do a poll, and we'll see if you're right statistically. I'm very, very curious. Rishi Sunak moment. So that's but yeah, I feel like if you don't like one of the people, or you don't like both of them, I guess it's like, yeah, that's kind of, they're not aiming to be liked by you, so if they accidentally got you, that'd be fine, you know, like the US has, unlike most other countries, like the world has opinions on their leaders, but it's not that they need those opinions to be good. It's just a nice coincidence if they are, right? It's honestly their job to appeal to the groups who will give them the most votes. So then that's the interesting question. So this is a little bit of political philosophy here, chat. Do you think, you know, do you like, well, because I guess like the correct move if you're playing the politics game is you get the places where the votes matter the most. But do you think, because this has happened like twice in the last decade in my lifetime, a major political party has accidentally gotten a strategy where lots of people like it, but those people happen to already vote for that party or live in areas that already do. So, for example, if you live in an urban area, you are already, swinging for Team Left. So when Team Left appeals to you and your vote, they're not winning anything. They have to get enough of you to vote that they don't lose, but realistically, you're voting for them or someone like them anyway. It's their logic. So, whereas they need to win over people who live in more swingy areas, right? It's the kind of concept. Do you think that politics, that's just playing the game, or do you feel like the game is impure when it's played that way, I guess is the question. So 59% of people say the red X is going to make the thumbnail better. That's an interesting point. So, I guess the, we're going to make a politics analogy to this thumbnail. We're going to do it, chat. So, the red X thumbnail, should I be aiming to appeal to my subscribers who will hopefully click on videos the moment they work out it's from me and hopefully on a topic they're interested in? Or should I be appealing to people who have never heard of Toycat, the viewers who only see the occasional Minecraft video, or maybe don't see Minecraft videos at all? I voted for NoX because I have Group A loyalty. It's very close to 50-50. I wonder if I can see the data yet, actually, chat. Okay, so I'm gonna go look. Okay, I'm going to look right now. It doesn't say on my phone. Oh, it does. It does. Here it is. Thumbnail test is running. To edit the thumbnail, please visit desktop version of Studio. Oh, I can't see on my phone. But I'm looking forward to finding out. Appeal to people who don't know you exist. See, that's the correct business move, but I feel like a lot of channels lose some wave of support when they do that just a little too hard, right? This is a little bit behind the inside baseball, I guess. Is if as a YouTube channel you appeal too hard to people who already watch your videos, you will eventually drop off entirely. Your existing audience will only slowly die, and I mean literally die in some cases. Every day it's gonna be 1/30,000th of the population dies, right? And assuming that's fairly randomly modeled, it shouldn't be for YouTube subscribers. You'd figure someone who is subscribed to my YouTube channel dies at a much lower rate than average, because obviously lack of house fires and all that noise. But I think so some people are dying, but some people also just lose interest in that thing and never pick it up again. There came a day where I stopped being interested in Call of Duty as a game. I used to play probably 3-4 hours a day after school, playing some zombies, there was a day where I stopped being interested. It wasn't a dramatic day. It's not like I have it written down on my calendar. Ooh, my drink tastes meaty, chat. That's weird. I was not expecting a meaty drink. Yeah, there came a day where I stopped being interested, and I don't know what that day was, but I haven't watched a single thing since then. I'd watch a fair bit here and there. It's one of the things that the game videos before that were just, here's a cool thing I did. I liked that the Call of Duty community started something which was let's have real discussions about real things. There's a little bit of chat about how do you get your KD up and what gun is the best one to use and how do you work on this map, etc. And those were always important things too. Those are the things that lured people in. But the thing that kind of caught me off guard that made me go, wow, actually, was that there were real discussions about stuff in the world. And I've always I don't know if you can get that from what we talk about here on this channel, but I've always enjoyed having a little bit of that on the side. I get that the primary focus is Minecraft. Minecraft first is so yeah, it's always gonna be, I don't know, if I'm playing Minecraft, you probably want to know at least what I'm doing, right? It's the bare minimum amount of knowledge there. Come on, key. Yeah, 36 keys, chat. Maybe 37? Oh, not 37. You should write "my drink tastes meaty" on your calendar. Okay, let's throw it on there. My drink tastes meaty. I'll set a reminder for next year, and then we'll have to. Honestly, why don't we retitle this stream "My Drink Tastes Meaty"? Okay, let's do it, chat. Let's see what that does. Okay, so the title of the stream is now "My Drink Tastes Meaty." There we go. We're gonna see if that helps people understand. I don't ever think about the thumbnail. I watch videos of the topic or person as of interest to me. I think the thumbnail will lure your attention in sometimes, though, right? An interesting. Okay, I'm gonna grab these candles. It feels weird that I haven't done it yet, but we're just gonna go grab them all. Something that I'm all too aware of. I think one of the most important things to understand is how it is that information gets into your brain. A lot of people just assume whatever's in there is just, you know, it's got in there because it's true or something like that. But there's a lot of ways that things make their way into your brains. And one of the weird kind of side consequences of this is everyone thinks that advertising is ineffective against them. Everyone has this idea, like, I've heard so many people be like, yeah, advertising's how they brainwash you, man. It doesn't work on me, though. And it's like, well, no one thinks advertising works on them. It is very rare that you hear someone be like, oh yeah, I really love advertisements. I don't know what car I'm going to buy until on the TV pops, ooh, the Skoda Yeti. Guess I'm getting one of those this week. You know, it's, I think that I got a new title about refreshing. No one thinks that advertising works on them. It's not. It doesn't make any sense that they would. But at the same time, it works large enough that the advertising industry works. We have how many people have liked the stream chat? Oh, it doesn't actually show me anymore. It's somewhere like 300, 400 people have liked the stream, right? I'm making a pure guess there. 500 people have liked the stream, let's say. And so, you know, like that, for each of those 500 people, I'd have been paid about 0.1 cents. Sometimes closer to like 0.5 cents if it's like a good YouTube day and, you know, the audience is from a, you know, decent demographic or whatever. But something like that. Also, I need to re-up on my torches, actually, so let's just do that real quick. And so that means that the value of just being able to show you 5 seconds of your brain time is worth about 0.1 cents. Which means that, yeah, statistically, most of the time that you see an ad, you don't buy something. But clearly, sometimes you'll see ads for... So there's like 3 levels of why advertising does actually work. One is the level of, well, what if you see an ad for something, and then later, when you really need a thing in that area, you'll know what to go to. So if you see an ad for a lawyer, then the one day you need a lawyer, you know the person to call. That's why there's so many injury attorneys in the US, because injuries are happening every day, even if most people aren't having an injury every day. So you try to be the injury lawyer that people think of when they're in a panic, etc. Or if you need a website, you think about like, oh yeah, Squarespace, build it beautiful, whatever. You know, like you hear about these things, you hear about these things and you think, why am I being told about this? And then one day it comes up and you're like, oh yeah, that was actually pretty darn good. Take a sip of the meat juice. Yeah, it's so meaty, chat. This is the meatiest drink I've ever had. Oh, I think it's got to be the ice cube because it's getting more meaty as the ice is melting. What would cause ice to taste like, you know, what is something wrong with my taste buds, chat? It's probably not that one. So, yeah, the idea of Raid Shadow Legends, right, is they knew that even if people thought of the game as the joke, when they're next thinking, oh, I need a mobile game, they might think to one of the screenshots or one of the videos they saw from one of those ads and go, yeah, well, I mean, it is like a full game. It has this and that, and they might hear of a talking point, etc. And all it takes is for some number of people, the next time they're looking for that service, to know about them. Like, brand recognition is so important. That's, you know, it's so important. That's why Coke does all those adverts, is because they just know that the next time you're thirsty, if Coke is one of the first things that you think about, it's one of the first things that you'll buy. By the way, good to see you, Harrison. Great. How are you doing today? We're doing a poll in chat, Harrison. Which thumbnail do you think will do better? The one with the red X or the one without the red X? We're doing a test, and I'm looking forward to finding it out. You might have frozen the water next to meat, but frozen meat doesn't taste like meat, right? Or maybe it does. The meatiest drink would be gravy, right? That's a good point, actually. Yeah, the very meatiest drink in existence would be gravy. If we were to try and make the meatiest drink. You know, maybe I'm drinking gravy. Maybe my drink was maybe my ice cubes are sat in the freezer next to gravy, and I just don't realize it. It's an important thing to realize when you're accidentally drinking gravy, but far too often, some of us don't realize. And that's how you get gravy poisoning, chat. That's how you get gravy poisoning. So, yeah, by the way, speaking of fun things, people like they're already branded and they don't know it. New ads don't welcome them because they already buy the same stuff every day. Yeah, this is like, to give you the real down low here, right, chat? The most valuable consumer for almost every major household product is people, mostly men especially, between the ages of like, but you know, like anyone who, I think that's a lie actually. It's for male care products it's men. It's usually women, I think. I got that one mixed up. It's women between the age of like 18 and about 30. Like people who are about to make a decision to purchase something and then can remain loyal to that thing for life. If you think about like, if you get someone into a new, you know, laundry detergent, if you get someone into a new shampoo and they're, you know, like young enough that they've got 30 years of consuming left in them, if they buy it and it works pretty good, they're going to buy the thing again because now they know that Nivea brand soap is one that does the job and smells fairly nice. And why would they try a brand that, you know, might not smell very nice and might not do the job perfectly? And so, yeah, if you can get people, if you get the person who's in charge of those purchases, if you get, like, and so, yeah, again, for single men, that can be a guy or whatever, like, for certain products, it's men. But if you can get that one person to buy your brand and think that your brand is good enough to buy again, then that is worth a huge, huge, huge amount. Whereas, the older you get, the more your advertising shifts to luxury purchases, like big one-offs. Like, if you buy a Rolex watch once, that's paid for, you know, think about 0.1 cents. It only takes 1 in a million people buying a $100,000 watch for that, you know, for that watch ad to make sense. It costs them a lot closer to actually 1 cent, so it's more like 1 in 100,000. But that's why there's so many watch ads in places where affluent people might be, and that's why the most profitable thing to advertise depends on your demographic. But they're just looking for some tiny percent of people to go, oh yeah, I've heard about this one. It does this thing. And realistically, even beyond that, they're trying to build habits. That is the most effective advertising. It's something that will make you go, oh, I'll give this a shot. And then you'll just continue to buy it because you've heard it's good over and over and over again. So with that said, hello, I'm not IBX Toycat, says Ruby likes Sonic 2. I sure hope you're not. If you're IBX Toycat, then who would I be? That's the real question. So yeah, we're gonna break into this next. We need to destroy the next couple of pillars. Surprised we haven't already. Let's get over that. Let's get these grates. We gotta remember to get the other grates out of here. And yeah, I think I almost always buy products my parents buy, so this is very true. Oh, that's crazy that it works next generation for you. Usually I've heard the effect is like, yeah, like it sort of works that way, but people, when you first move out by yourself, you pick up a bunch of new loyalty to products. It might be because it's the cheapest one, it might be, but you're at the store deciding something, right? You've got some basis for why you're deciding on the products you know. And if you think about it, when you do go to the store, there's so many choices. Like, if you think about something like shampoo is a great example actually, but maybe let's say shower gel. It literally is, this is soap that makes the smell go away. It's a concept that we perfected hundreds of years ago. But yeah, if you go to a brand, in the UK where we don't usually have as many brands for things, there's still like 16, 20 brands. Why do you need 16 or 20 brands? It's so that Ruby Likes Sonic 2 can say Head and Shoulders gang, while I can be like, oh yeah, I don't really vibe as well with Head and Shoulders. I feel like in my mind they're the dandruff people. Like, that's gonna be clinically super strong. It's gonna make me it doesn't make me smell like anything. It's gonna make me smell neutralized. Whereas maybe I want to smell like carbon. So I got the cool one that's like, yeah, this is carbon flavored soap, and I'm like, yeah, that'll wash real good. I want to smell like carbon. Why do I want to smell like carbon? I don't know why that marketing worked on me. That's much stupider than believing that I should use the really, really strong soap. And some people are like, oh yeah, I like this marketing because they talk about, they make funny jokes in their ads, and if they have the money to make funny jokes in the ads, then they must have very good this way. Everyone picks like a brand identity almost, and then we buy products like that, and we become extremely loyal consumers. Because now that I'm buying this shower gel, and it's working, I think. I've got the same problem with shampoo. Like, every time I switch shampoo, like, I feel like my hair looks terrible, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, what do I do about this? So instead, I don't switch shampoo, and I give the same company money for the rest of time. They didn't even advertise to me. It was literally, it was one that was like in my bathroom when I was younger. This is the same case you were talking about there. Like, oh yeah, this is the one my parents bought, and it worked when they did, so I guess I'm going to use it as well. So an advert that, like, I guess my mother saw sometime in the 90s or early 2000s leads to me now buying this product like 4 or 5 times a year. And that is how advertising is effective, right? That's the effectiveness of advertising. It's something that's important to know is what it is how information makes it through to your brain. For moments like that is like we have so many moments where we think the way we think we work is different than the way we actually work, and it will cause you problems not to realize that sooner than you do. And so hopefully you have at least to think about it, because I know people talk about the idea of critical thinking all the time. And I think people parrot talking about critical thinking so much that I don't think they're truly critically thinking about it. But I think the interesting thing about what we should teach people is how to process and where, you know, like how to, when given information, what makes information valid versus not. Like the whole scientific method and stuff like that. That is like one of the most valuable things that you can have. It's like lots of things. If we could learn about all the times that we thought something was true, and then later we found out that it wasn't, I think that would be a very, very useful lesson for a lot of people to pick up, right? Like, there's also the opposite. There's times where we couldn't find out something really, really bad, and we just assumed it was a given. Like, before pasteurization, before we worked out... This is still dumb to this day. Like, before we worked out that if you just really heat up milk a lot, then it gets rid of all the germs, even when it then cools down. If you rapidly heat and then cool it. It makes no sense to me that should make the milk super germ-free, but we prevented so many childhood deaths with it. It's like, yeah, people would have not understood, even if the reason behind it isn't true, right? Even if we're wrong about the reason, the effect is true. And so a similar thing is before germ theory, we were just like, yeah, we just kind of assumed. We just had this big assumption that germs were like the smell, you know, if it smelt bad or felt bad, then that was germs. And because you know, have you ever gotten like really, this is a weird thing to say, but I'm sure at some point everyone here has gotten to the point where you feel grimy, right? You feel actively like ugh. And so also, watched Toy Cat around 10 years old, back 9 years later. Sad I missed out. Glad I can have a log to watch with, says Blaze CDXX. Are you implying you want to watch all of the last 10 years as like a big first sitting? Sounds good to me, man. You know, I think I've uploaded 6,000 videos on the channel now, something like that. So if you watched every one of those videos, I think I'd make about 0.1. I'd make about $6. Maybe if you're in like a premium market, if you're looking to buy some new shampoo, maybe as high as $30 if you watch every single one of those. 7K, says Harrison Gray. 7K indeed. Wait, I have no idea. Oh, 7,000 videos, right. So I've uploaded 7,000 videos. So I might make a nice, might make a nice $7 if you do. Please do consider it. Just put the little videos on. Roll through it. It'll be great. So shampoo stream when? I feel like, as silly of a thing as this is, I'm very, like, cautious and guarded about anything to do with stuff like that. I think, one of the few things that the internet is very divided on is, about how I do anything to do with my hair. I didn't think there could be such a controversial thing. You figure it's like, oh yeah, that's like, you know, but there is a big feel for it. Milk is such a weird concept. Yeah, milk is a very, very bizarre concept. There's no thing there. Also, I think this is a wild stream name, says Jake Riley. It got you to click on the video, didn't it? My drink really does taste meaty, though. It's very odd. I can't work out why. You know, sometimes a meaty drink is probably a good thing. It's not what I'm really going for right now, you know? Like, right now I feel like I could do with a less meaty drink. I think I'd be happier if my drink was less meaty than it currently is. And that, you know, that's a bit mean of me to say. Like, why do I have to be the police about something like that? Surely, the meatiness of my drink is something that I should accept the drink however it is. But yet I am choosing to raise questions about it in a way that I don't think is fair. So, cats are obligate carnivores. Well, I guess if I'm obligated to be a carnivore, then what else can I do? So chat, something I wanted to talk about for a while. I think I like briefly alluded at it while I was speedrunning, but I was speedrunning, so I got sidetracked by a breeze or something. But I want to talk about the bombing of Japan, right? This is my favorite like philosophy meets history question. It's you know, with most history, it's like, well, we were kind of savages. But this is like really, really, really recent history that we just said, yeah, we're gonna drop the most deadly weapon that humanity has ever developed on this one group of people over here, because the people who the government of that people kind of are acting like real a-holes right now. And so we're just gonna get rid of them. We're just gonna bomb them to the point where there's nothing left to bomb. And it's really, really, really interesting to me on a few levels, really, I would say. But one of the things I think about a lot is if you, so you know, like how can you? This is why it's important to like think about. This is why I think it's important to question how it is you arrive at conclusions or think about decisions and stuff. And one of the interesting thoughts is, how do you decide if something is good or bad? Because most people, and I'll be honest, most of the time, you know, like even if you're really trying not to, you're going to do this. You know, this is something I'm going to be doing whether I like it or not. Most people confer good and bad as being, this is, you know, something is good because it feels, you know, it doesn't feel bad. And something is bad because it just feels bad. What makes something morally not okay? What makes something, you know, terrible to have happened? The answer is obviously, you know, I don't know how you couldn't conclude that it's bad because it feels real bad. But actually working out what is it that defines bad? What is it that would make, you know, to answer anything sensibly is to be able to be like, okay, what would make something bad versus good? And one of the things I try to think about is like, not analyzing things in the abstract. As I kind of arrived at earlier, is like, my whole life, people have been discussing certain morality issues in politics, and have arrived nowhere in their discussions. They just keep discussing them over and over and over again, and it feels really good to say certain dumb cliche phrases, but you don't actually get anything done when you yell, oh yeah, these people should be doing this, and those people should be doing that. It doesn't actually achieve anything. It's just a way of saying, like, this is my value system, and yelling that again and again and again. It sounds like you're proposing for change when you're like, oh yeah, these people need to start doing that, and those people need to start doing this. But actually what you're just doing is you're saying, look, here are my values. These people, you know, you're kind of just yelling your opinions on stuff. So how do you work out if something is actually good or actually bad? I think is like, in some part down to outcomes, right? You can't use outcomes exclusively, because if you did, then you'd have to conclude like, oh yeah, well if you murder someone, it's good as long as that person is bad. Like if you go back in time and murder Hitler, though, then you'd have a lot of people being like, thank you, by the way, Super Sue MC. Everyone in Japan was prepared to die for the Emperor, so it was either the A-bomb or the equivalent of an Undertale genocide run. Yeah, so, but then, you know, don't you morally owe it to the world to do the, you know, like, regardless of the, because I kind of believe, I think about that one a lot as, like, it's an easy starting point for a justification, but also, like, wait, so what if some evil empire, started up now, right? Let's just picture, like, I don't know, China goes extra bad, right? They go down a real not good streak. So imagine China goes on a real not good streak, and they're like, the evil imperialist United States, they will stop at nothing to defend, you know, even when they're losing the war, they're still going to fight us. So the only logical decision is to nuke the country. You'd be like, whoa, no, it's different when it's us involved and when the ideology isn't good. The difference there is that, obviously, Imperial Japan was not a good country, whereas, you know, the current day United States is. And so it's like, it's not. I don't think that makes it good and bad, because who's on the right and wrong side of a given conflict is... No one is ever fighting for a conflict where they're like, yeah, we're kind of the bad guys. But that's okay, you know, like, even people who are fighting in the wars that are most clearly one-sidedly, you know, like, I don't know, like, even in the Russia-Ukraine thing, I feel like out of all the conflicts in the world, it's the easiest one to just be like, oh yeah, good guys, bad guys. Even then, the people who are fighting for the the bad side are like, yeah, I am defending the motherland. They've been sold reasons that this is a war worth fighting. What a stream title. I need to change it back at some point. But, you know, a lot of people are liking it, so maybe we do leave it that way. War is never justified, says Chillisbean13. Yeah, no one should ever be in charge of deciding whether someone else gets to live or die, is my crazy take on the matter. Is at the point where you decide when someone's living or dying, you've probably gone too far. It should be, if you're making value judgments about who gets to live and who doesn't get to live, you've probably gone a little bit too deep down the hole, right? And that's why I'm a big believer in the idea of euthanasia, like assisted suicide. I can't believe that the world collectively says, in most countries, like you're down to like Switzerland and like the Netherlands if you want euthanasia, right? In most countries they say, oh yeah, it does not matter if you want your life to end. It might sadden people around you if you were dead, and so, you know, they wouldn't want to hurt their opinions, right? Like would sure suck if they were bummed out that you die. It's like, oh, I feel like there's one person who gets to decide if you live and die, and usually it's you. Hopefully you take input from other people before making the decision. But the ultimate authority isn't resting in a group of people. Pretty sure we have it in Canada. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Actually, I've heard about the Canadian system. A lot of people make fun of it. I think a lot of people use it as like a big like, oh yeah, it's so bad. You hear the doctors up, and I think it's because like they combine it. I think people's criticisms of it come because it's combined with like public health. But my point here is to say that, so I don't think there's ever a time where anyone else gets to decide for you whether you're living or dying. And so even when it's like, yeah, you would have lost lots of your own lives fighting them, there was an alternative, right? Because the point of saying you had to kill so many people because the alternative was, you know, like war for longer. No, the alternative was not winning the war, which is valid, right? Like I think, you know, if you could say right now, take any conflict in the world and say, you can end that conflict right now. You end the conflict, it goes away, all the parties will stop fighting, but then the side that you care about doesn't have an absolute victory. You know, if you think about all the contentious wars in like the Yemens, the Ukraines, the other parts of the Middle East, right? If you think about all those contentious wars, if your opinion isn't, I think that the option that leads to people stopping dying soonest is the best, then you don't have an opinion which is based on preventing cruelty. You have an opinion which is based on ideas are more important than people's lives. And you know, there's all sorts of times that we are fed that idea, and that like people who have died in the past died so that we could enjoy ideas. You know, the whole like they died for your freedom concept is one that comes up a lot. But yeah, I think it's also wild. Do you think the death penalty is okay then? I don't think anyone thinks the death penalty is okay, right? No one is actively like, yeah, let's kill some people. I used to be vaguely in favor of the death penalty on like a cost ground of like, it's dumb that we house someone forever. At some point, at some level of dangerousness, we say that if you are if you're a risk to people around you, then we're not gonna pay for that risk. You can just, yeah, you know, like if you're in prison for life anyway, right? If we're really taking away your life, then maybe we could, you know, save ourselves. But then I learned that it's so expensive to do it anyway. And also, you never actually, like, you know, the second crucial problem with the death penalty that you later learn about is not everyone who gets sentenced to death is actually guilty. If it was 100%, I would be still very morally on the fence about it. But the fact that there is even a single person, and there's a lot more than a single person, who have been sentenced to death, and then, you know, because when you, here's a fun fact, chat. If you get sentenced to prison, if you go to the big house with the small windows, if you go to the big house with the small windows, then you don't, and then you later turn out that you didn't commit the crime, you know, if that happens, then you actually get, it's pretty cool in my opinion, you get given compensation for the years you're in. It depends on where you live exactly what the compensation is. And so if you're a high earner in particular, it's kind of a bummer. Like, you're not going to make your wages back. And also, it's not going to make up for the life that you lost. Like, you know, if you had... You're going to have lost valuable years of your life, but you get compensated. We can say, we're going to try and make this right because we shouldn't have tried to kill you. And then if you say to someone there's too many variables, exactly, there's so many. In terms of I think trying to be honest about it, you'll arrive very quickly at the conclusion that like you can never be 100% sure someone is guilty, and so you can never be sure that it's right to kill someone. And you know if that's how you feel about like someone who's committed crimes, why are you gonna feel that way about someone who's like, oh yeah, their government did bad things to some people who lived in our country, so they must die in their droves. But then an interesting counter argument is the reason that there were so many atrocities in World War II, it's not because we decided to commit atrocities against each other, is because we just didn't have the technology to be more precise about it. Like nowadays, if you think about, I don't know, like if you look at very high-end military tech, I guess I should say, it's pretty decently guided. The fact that the US managed to kill I think it was the second in command in Iran, singularly killed him, didn't kill anyone else. It's a level of targeting which means that you can specifically say, this guy is so bad, he is, effectively the US enforced a death penalty on someone who lived thousands of miles away, and multiple times, I guess you could really say. The fact that that is possible today is crazy, but it's even then only possible by certain countries of the highest level of tech. So we definitely couldn't have done it back then. So why should murderers get a second chance, says Funny Duck. Yeah, no, good question, right? Like so many people forget that, like, because a lot of people in their plight to talk about how criminals are, a lot of people trying to talk about the plight of criminals will forget about the plight of victims who matter much more. Like if we're as a society picking sides, we pick the sides of the victim, hopefully more often than the victimizer, the victim creator, the victimer. It should be a word. Like you're a widower, you should be like a victimer. Anyway, so is that baby zombie just hanging out in that corner? What's he doing over there? Okie dokie. Let's go get him, I guess, but I'm still confused about why we have to. I think, like as a society, you should always be siding on the victim over the victimizer. So, like I agree, like someone who's been murdered, you're never going to be like, oh, it's better, we're not going to kill them for it or whatever. But with literally anything else, I think also depends on the circumstance of the murder. A mother unaliving to protect her kids would not be vilified like a psychopathic serial killer would. Yeah, I think there's a lot of judgment call. There's a reason we have courts for this stuff, right? It's like you're never gonna get to the bottom of like how to actually dispense justice in the fairest and best way. You're not gonna have a discussion like that that's gonna be better than the way we've worked it out over thousands of years of trial and error. But at the same time, yeah, we got another key. 38. Oh, actually, 39. Perfect. Love it. But yeah, a lot of people always jump to this as the defense of like, oh, but we should kill people because what if some of those people are actually real monsters? And it's like, but can you ever be sure that they did a thing? Again, this is where like the information thing comes in. Like, if you can't be sure someone did something, if you're like really making a good guess that they did it, then is that enough to kill someone forever on? Even if you're like, I don't know, like there are some things where the burden of proof that we require for like history, right? To be sure that World War II happened, you couldn't be like, oh yeah, my granddad says it happened, and then it doesn't matter what the history books say. Or rather, if my granddad says World War II didn't happen, you wouldn't trust him, right? You would say, oh no, there's a lot of people saying otherwise. And if you said in response, oh, but my granddad's sure, and he's absolutely sure. He was around at the time World War II would have happened in a way that you aren't, so I think you shouldn't be doubting my granddad's opinion on whether there was in fact a World War II, right? You'd rightfully say like, well, I mean, I appreciate what point you're trying to get at here, but also I'm not gonna just not believe that this is true. Because there's a burden of proof that is higher than one person says something. But for so many of the most heinous things that people can do, it gets down to that point. And that's why you can only ever be 99% sure, right? That's why there's like whole issues about cancellation on stuff. Is like, if you very, very few times will it happen, but the fact that sometimes it can happen, the fact that it's possible to happen, that someone can do very bad things to other people by saying that that person did bad things to them. Like, I'm sure anyone who has a sibling understands this the best. At some point, your sibling's just going to make up things that you did to them, and your parents are going to say, well, why would they make it up? And then you're going to be like, no, because I didn't. Why aren't you trusting me? You're going to go through that whole thing? And then you'll be like, I'm going for the easy life on this one, so I'm going to trust the person who probably shouldn't be lying. Yeah, I think, I think anyone who doesn't believe that there are, times where, things like that happen falsely, it's like, well, I have my concerns about the other things that you must believe. My siblings have done that, says Funny Duck. Yeah, exactly, Funny Duck. So imagine now you do something really, really, you know, like, you do something to upset someone. And that person decides, no, he's not getting away with it this time. If I report him for what he actually did to me, you know, like if you make fun of someone a whole bunch, if I report him for what he actually did to me, then, you know, like, I doubt this is going to go anywhere. I think people are going to make fun of me. And so what I'll do instead is I'll report him off something real bad. And that's, again, very, very, very unlikely that that will happen. There's a lot more cases where someone does do something really bad. Really important to say something you're meant to trust people, and it's important that you do. But the fact that it can happen, the fact that it can, is why you need higher levels of proof for certain things. If you're going to put someone's life on the risk, right? When we're talking about court, we're talking about balance of probabilities, like will someone do it or not. But if you're not, it's a whole problem. A kid in P4 at school literally punched herself in the face and said, I did it. And clearly the teacher sided with them because why would they do that? Dude, I'm 8 years old, you tell me. Yes, so I think it's wild how many people haven't had this happen to them. Where it's like, oh man, the wheels of justice are turning against me all of a sudden. And there's nothing you can do because it's very hard to argue against. Why would someone make that up? Because in most cases, we assume that the world is a very rational place because it is so much. But then when it's not, it breaks everything. The police also sometimes don't investigate cases that clearly happened. Yeah, that is the opposite problem of people then taking that too far and saying, well, I guess nothing ever happens then. And it's like, no, you just have to always understand that you're always making a best guess as to whether something happened or not. Like, even if you take the most famous serial killer in history, right? If we to take, and I was going to say Jack the Ripper, but I don't think we ever found him. Which is an interesting example. Like, we make a lot of good assumptions that whoever killed all the Jack the Ripper people, hope we would have found him earlier if he was called that. Yeah, it's a pretty big assumption, I think, to just assume that, Jack the Ripper is one person. It's likely based on the data that we have, but it's still like you couldn't say with 100% certainty. You could say maybe 99% certainty. So yeah, also victim blaming is never acceptable, says Co-op Perone. I also just remembered my mother and sister are both in London and both single if anyone's interested. Oh, you know, David, Do tell me more. Wait, your mother and sister are both single? That's got to be a concern, right? You know, like, you know, I remember learning that, I just as a casual offhanded comment, I mentioned something to my mother, and she's like, oh no, there's real bad heart disease on that side of your family, though. And I was like, wait, this should have come up earlier, right? Like, that was my response. Because, you know, like, statistically, if your family have something, you know, it's likely to be in your genes somewhere. You know, I feel like being single might accidentally run in the family there. Also, dibs on David's sister. Yeah, you know, I appreciate David being the hero that we need here in allowing the world to solve two problems at once. Honestly, I do think, real talk here, chat, right? I think that is how dating should work. I know. We worked out an app system, and you know, like we worked out there's ways to make it work, and blah 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 blah. I think what would be way more fun is if it's like, oh yeah, this person's friend of a friend vouches for me, and you know, like I feel like the vouch system works really well. I know we hate it for all sorts of places. In fact, actually, you know, this is one of the real big shifts in the world I think it's a really interesting one to talk about because we often don't talk about it. We talk about lots of other things around the issue rather than itself. But we are slowly trying to, as part of a society that is... Because when we say that society is getting more diverse on an ethnic level, you kind of just assume that that means skin color. A lot of people, like, assume these things on a surface level. Like, oh yeah, like, well, the biggest difference between someone who is, you know, like, high in Caucasianness and someone who is low in Caucasianness is like, oh yeah, I guess, like, the amount they burn, maybe, or something like that. But one of the interesting differences between someone who has lived somewhere, who has had family somewhere their whole life, and someone who hasn't, are the connections that you have, right? And so, when you use a dating system, which is like, I will have my friend recommend his sister in case I'm looking to date her. I think one of the interesting side consequences of that is it would then exclude anyone who moved here recently, because you know, you're not going to have family who are from somewhere who have just immigrated, right? So it kind of keeps communities close together rather than far apart. It's far apart good, actually. But the point here is to say that's one of the weird side effects, is all of your networks, socially speaking, are going to be different based on whether you arrived somewhere recently or not. And so one of the kind of moves in the Western world, where we're heavily reliant on having a large number of immigrants, is we are moving things away from systems of based on vouching and knowledge and stuff, and moving more towards systems that are like, okay, we are going to do some objective check that will not revolve you knowing someone here already or having family of someone who's here already. And I think it's probably really, as someone who I don't have any like high-flying family members, right? And as someone in my position, I'm like, I think that's overall a good thing. I think that being, you know, like the whole idea of nepotism is really unappreciated by anyone as far as I can find. Weirdest conversation to have with a friend. Can I bag your sister? I had a friend actually, when I was in school. I had a crush on his sister, and it was actually, no, this has happened like twice in the wild. And then one of my friends had a crush on another one of my friend's sister. And the guy was like, "Can I?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'd be honored, dude." And then the friend of mine whose sister I thought was attractive, he was like helping me out, you know. He was making it work. He was lining up like you know, things for us. And I think it's interesting because there's like, stereotypically it's meant to be that you're defensive of it, like, oh no, you can't go anywhere near that. But I've had the exact opposite experience. I had one of my friends, this is the weirdest thing, I still don't understand this to this day, but I had a friend, and he would buy gifts for my friend to keep my friend dating his sister. I really didn't understand that. There was something odd going on there that I still to this day cannot understand. It was like a dowry system from the Middle Ages, but I've never had the idea of like, oh, you gotta stay away from that. She's my sister. I mean, my sister has voluntarily dated some scumbags. Would rather set her up with chat. You know what, chat? Right now, you're gonna lose your opportunity if you don't get in there real soon. Yeah, that is an interesting point though, huh? Is the correct logic should be if you have good friends, you should want them to become good family one day. Glad I have 4 brothers. Hey, OBXToyCat, I've been watching since the Marketplace map called Caverns of Chaos stream. Oh, I saw your YouTube comment while I was looking for Q&A Saturday questions this week. Matchmaking for siblings, new member benefit added. You know, chat, if you're going to be dating someone, wouldn't you rather they be a member of the IBXToyCat channel? Okay, so 65% of people now, chat, are saying the thumbnail of the red X they think is going to perform better. It's a very reasonable assumption to make. I don't think you're wrong for that. But I'm going to find out if you're wrong or right now. I can't pick up these blocks. Okay, we're going to mine back out here. And we're going to go dump our inventory. And then we're going to try and specify one particular type of block. So yeah, we're going to work out right now who is correct. It's been an hour, so I hope that gives me enough time. Actually, I don't have click-through rates in general yet, so I probably don't have them for both thumbnails. We're going to find out. How are you going to experiment with the thumbnail, says Quizzle. Oh, so you just got here. So the brief thing is A/B testing just rolled out on YouTube for everyone today. For some reason, they've had it for a year and have only let some channels have it. It's that In my mind, a feature that is that important should not be limited for some channels. Like, imagine if only some channels had access to, I don't know, the concept of subtitles, or if only some channels had access to, I'm trying to think of something equally as important. It's very actually hard. Speaking of very hard, Jessup Kane, thank you for gifting a member. One more person now has access to Toycat, Bailey, and Doritos. Hope you enjoy it. But 65% of people reckon that it is going to get more. So there's two thumbnails. If you look at the latest video I just uploaded, there's A/B thumbnail testing. So if you get a thumbnail that doesn't have an X on, you're in group A. And if you have a thumbnail with a red X on, you're in group B. I'm going to, it groups everyone on YouTube into two separate groups. It shows them each half the thumbnails. And so we're going to see whether more people click on the thumbnail by having the red X on it right now. I don't actually know. This is the first time I've ever seen this data. I don't know if I meant to see it. Okay, so I'm going to refresh my YouTube. Okay, so thumbnail analytics. Let's go. I'm excited, chat. So it says more regular viewers are choosing to watch this video, helping to increase its reach on YouTube recommendations. That's lovely. And then we go to reach, and then we're doing a thumbnail test is running. This shows the total click-through for all tested thumbnails. So, oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, okay. So I'm going to share this with you now, chat. I'm worried about how it will look. So I'm just gonna jump aboard with it. So if we, okay, I'm excited. Sorry to jump to a thing here. Okay, so this is my YouTube. There we go. So as you can see, the video so far has had 30,000 impressions. So 30,000 people so far have seen the thumbnail, have seen this on their YouTube homepage. Off those, 10% of people clicked it. I don't know how you can get 5.6 thousand views from that. It feels like one of these statistics is off. But then what they say is, based on the fact that they go 50-50, 49.5% of watch time comes from people who watched this thumbnail, and 50.5% comes from people who clicked on this thumbnail, showing us that even though it's very close, slightly more people watch for slightly longer when they're shown this thumbnail. I'm going to hit Manage Test. I don't know what that's going to do. I have never... Oh, there we go. We're fine. So I think I could add another thumbnail to this too. Stop and set. Stop and set. But, yeah, at this point, I can leave this running for up to 14 days. And it will end sooner if there is a clear winner. So we're going to see if this does change over time, because it could be that subscribers prefer looking at the red X and non-subscribers prefer this. So over time, if these numbers go down, non-subscribers might enjoy this more. Over time, if this goes up, then non-subscribers might prefer without the red X, and subscribers, weirdly, might prefer with the X. But that's what we're going to work out today. Okay, I'm back, chat. Wait. I'm back, chat. Hello. And now we go back to the stream, and we move it back to the corner. So I hope you found that interesting. May not be statistically significant. Yeah, exactly. I agree with the number of impressions we have so far. It's with a 1% difference. It's not enough for me to say with a guarantee. But if it stays at the same rate over time, or if the rate reverses substantially over time, that will be significant. I would say like 52 over like 100,000 impressions. I would say that's statistically significant enough. Because right now, I would say there's a tiny chance that maybe there are just more Toycat fans in one group than the other, even if they're entirely random. You know, like it's like if you pick 3 people, then you know, even though the average number of Toycat fans, because there's this weird thing about how we view data. But if you think about it this way, right? If you get 3 random human beings, and you ask them a question that only 1 in 10 people can say yes to, like. What can that be true for? Let's say, have you ever heard of IBX Toycat? Obviously, that's like 1 in maybe 1,000 people have heard of IBX Toycat. But even within a sample size of 3 people, it might be that one person goes, "Oh yeah, I love that guy's Minecraft video. I've been watching since the console days." Or you might get someone going, "Oh man, I heard that guy titled a stream, my drink tastes meaty, and I've just never been a fan since." You know, you can have one of those 2 answers. You might have someone who knows who I am, despite the statistical insignificance of that. And so if you were to conclude, like, well, from 3 people, 1 person was a Toy Cat fan, so clearly 1/3 of the population is a Toy Cat fan, that would be a wrong way to interpret that data. Also, no X gang. So yeah, if you go look at the thumbnail now, chat, if you have a red X or not, it tells you it. If you have a red X, you're in Group B. If you don't have a red X, you're Group A. Therefore, with a large enough sample size, a difference of 0.01% could be technically statistical significance. Yeah, if you think about over, let's say 10 million views, if we had 10 million thumbnail impressions, a 0.01% difference is the equivalent of, over 10 million views, it's about 1,000 extra people who would watch a video. So that's like that's a $1 or so extra. So if you could have a thumbnail that was that amount better, 0.01% better, then you're talking about $1 every time you upload, so $300 a year or something. And if it's something as small as adding an X to a thumbnail, then you'd be insane not to do it. Is my actual take here. Speaking of actual takes, yeah, people might not know who you are in China. I'll be honest, there's a lot of other places than just China where that's true. But yeah, I get the point you're trying to get across there. Can I be both, says Jake Riley. You know what? Have you seen both? That would be interesting. I wonder if it ever moves people from one group to the other. Because otherwise, you know, I've got a lot of questions about how it works. But that's the science behind how it works. How it actually works is a whole different thing, I guess. And it could have bugs in the whole system as an entire premise. But yeah, so thumbnails on YouTube are effectively going to be personalized now. But not personalized to you, personalized for the sake of testing. The thumbnail that you see on a video isn't necessarily the thumbnail that everyone sees in a video. And so that is going to cause some interesting things. Most of the times I see people test this though, they test fairly minor differences. Like that's why we're doing a fairly minor one to start today. But we're gonna try like a fairly major one at some point, just for curiosity, right? Like what if we go literally different concepts on a thumbnail? Just checked it on my end, I have the same non-X thumbnail. Okay, so it seems likely that it'll give you the same thumbnail until we change it. But, you know, the fact that you didn't click it might be messing with the numbers overall. Justin Delisle. I'm sure it was it for me earlier, but I could just be misremembering. You getting Mandela effect, but for Toy Cat thumbnails now? I swear it used to be this way, but it's too hard to say for sure. It's just too hard. Yeah, you know, actually, Jake Riley, while you're here, I want to ask this. This is it's on the top of my mind. I don't know if this is correct or not, but if you live in the Republic of Wales, as I believe it is called, I've been forever contemplating a trip to Cardiff. What are the reasons that people go there? What are the good things? What are the bad things? It's like 2 hours away, and it's like a whole different country that I've been to like in my childhood and to climb a mountain, and that's it. So I'd love to check out the also good old Wales. Yeah, isn't it pretty crazy? You know, like people act like humans get all the democracy, but one look at Wales is proof that that is not true. Actually, I don't think anyone ever complains that humans get all the democracy. Maybe we should be complaining. Isn't it crazy, chat? How much democracy we allot just to humans? Seems pretty unfair if you ask me. Halve the Garb, I like how I joined just as you're saying that. Also, Toycat is definitely contaminating the results of this surveying, says Arden Erdvig. See, but theoretically, I should be contaminating the results equally, right? Because people in this stream are about half and half. Actually, let's test that. So chat, which thumbnail do you have? Can I test it on this stream, actually? I think that'd be an easy one to check. Doctor Who Museum in Cardiff. Cardiff Bay's nice. There's some arcades and there's a nice park not far from there. Ooh, I feel like because of the ridiculous price of rent in London, every arcade that I used to go to is long since closed. The Namco Funscape finally went recently, and that was like a real like, okay, it's over now. There used to be a giant arcade like right next to Westminster, like where the Capitol building was. So it was a weird place for an arcade. I couldn't imagine who was going there, but I was going there, and now it is gone forever. And now I'm not going there because it is gone, and I'm unable to. They moved it from Romford or something like that, and now everyone knows no one's going to Romford. You could tell me the Holy Grail. You could tell me that there's a bunch of free money being given out in Romford, And I'd say, but you know, like, it's, nah, I don't think I'm going there. There's a bar called NQ64 where you can play retro games and drink. That's pretty neat. I stumbled into one of those the other night. Recently, actually. I guess the other night implies recently, doesn't it? I don't have to say the other night recently. I mean, the other night could be less recently. And I played some SNES. I went most of the way through an F-Zero Cup. A lot of fun. I love it. But I feel like N60... I hate that every bar that does retro stuff puts out SNESes and Genesises and stuff, because the N64 is my generation. Even at this point, I'd be more happy playing, like, Xbox 360 games, if you want to call those retro. It'd make me feel so old. But, you know, like, if you put Halo 2 on there, or if you put, like, Time Splitters for the GameCube, I'd be down with that. I went especially to see the Doctor Who exhibition, and it was so good. You know, you're selling me on it. That is weirdly the #1 thing I know about Cardiff. Is like, for some reason, Doctor Who is set there. I don't know how a whole city gets a reputation like that, but it does. Go to Wales for the Northern Slate Landscape. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and has many railways. Yo, Time Splitters is great. Oh yeah, I love Time Splitters. I love Time Splitters 2. I like Future Perfect. I thought that was the better campaign. But Time Splitters 2 is where my heart is. There's just so many weird miniature modes and ways to play that game. It's great. Is that because of Torchwood? Yeah, it's probably more Torchwood. I feel like Torchwood was very Welsh in how it went across, right? Like, I feel like Torchwood was insanely Welsh. They couldn't not remind you in Torchwood. Good show, by the way. One of my friends described, who was a real big Doctor Who fan, described it to me in a way that I rolled my eyes at the time, but is actually the perfect way to describe the Doctor Who universe. It's like there's the Sarah Jane Adventures for if you're a child. There's Doctor Who for the mass market audiences, and then there's Torchwood for people who want something a bit more mature. Like I'm surprised Torchwood hasn't picked up steam in the era of streaming. Like, whichever streaming service had Torchwood would really excite people. Like, because Doctor Who has some people who care about it still, but it goes in and out of like style and fashion basically. Jake Riley, Cardiff Castle is nice too. You know, I love a good castle. Love a place to hide all my things in. I miss Torchwood. Yeah, I feel like they could really, you know, they could bring it back quite easily, I imagine. Hasn't the Doctor Who exhibition closed? Okay, you know, never mind. I'll have no excitement in going. Let's keep my expectations nice and tiny. So I think I'm going to destroy the area around these spawners. I don't want to though, but I guess I've already mostly done it, so let's just commit to finishing it at least. There's some magma in the side of this, which is interesting. Chat, why do you think there's magma there? I can understand why there's magma at the bottom of this room, but these blocks being replaced by magma makes no sense. It's not as majestic as the Toy Cat Castle, though. Thank you, thank you. I know. The world's best castle, some people say. Most people say. You'd always go to a sheep farm. Gonna be honest with you, I know that some cities have like a vibrant nightlife and a red light district. But I don't want to go to a sheep farm in Wales. I don't need to do that. Also, Toycat, I'm mad at you. I have no way to play Time Splitters 2 right now. Me neither. So there was this fan project. I've been following it for most of a decade. They've been trying to remaster Time Splitters. And they got really, really, really far into it. And then they lost the official backing of Eidos because they took too long. Like, the rights moved from someone to someone else. And so you'd hope if they've lost the rights to make it, like, oh, that means the studio are going to make one. But no, there's a franchise that so many people love. The Time Splitters world is like, so it could be so popular as a modern day shooter that just has no game. Don't know how that's true, but it is. Okay, pick these up, nice and easy. Eight more diamonds, by the way. That gives me a total of 21. I'm just picking up diamonds like it's nothing today. Kosovo, the Wales of Serbia. I mean, I guess Kosovo's the Scotland of Serbia. I'd say Vojvodina is the Wales of Serbia. Hate to do that to you, David Solomano. Unless you're saying it's the Wales of Serbia, and that you can say I'm Welsh. You can say I'm Kosovoan, and if you're from Serbia, it's basically the same thing. Probably doesn't perfectly work. You should go to Gower, naturally beautiful and a good walk. It's only an hour out from Cardiff, near Swansea. The only thing I know called Gower is the Gower brothers from RuneScape. And so I'll logically assume that they're named after this little Welsh town that is just an hour away from Cardiff. Wow, I sure have reasons to go there now. So, yeah, we're slowly but surely destroying everything but the spawners and the vaults. Which sounds like a good thing, but the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, at some point, I am going to run into the very serious problem of every single trowel spawner being suspended in the air. I guess I can make a walkway between them. Maybe I could make them all into spawners and then... Yeah, we'll work out what we'll do with the spawners. It has a town called Mumbles near it. All funny names. Mumbles is a very funny name. I have to concede that that is true. Love me some Mumbles. Okay, so that's as good as we're getting. We'll destroy the chiseled blocks near the thing here. And then we'll come right back after we've got some inventory space. The Mummy Returns movie IBX Toy Cat. Also, I wrote it. Says... I missed it. Oh, we're more like the Scotland of Serbia. We desperately want independence and to join the EU. Hey! Just I nailed it with my description. If Erodit's actually from there and he perfectly agreed with it, then I have the perfect explanation. Okay, speaking of perfect explanation, I had to switch out to my keyboard and mouse because my controller died. I bought a new battery pack for it because it dies so often, right, chat? I feel like I'm always replacing the batteries on my controller in a way that most people just aren't. And they don't really sell wired controllers unless you get the weird third-party ones that make you feel uncomfortable when you look at them, and especially when you hold them. Ooh, so yeah, Toycat, are you watching Euro 2020? Oh yeah, I by watching it, I mean I look at the results once every 3 days. I need to look at it today. I heard the UK was playing. Oh, we got a tie. Is that good? Is it? Do you want a tie? I guess in general it means that now things have to go very badly to lose things overall. No, you don't want a tie. I think you want a tie, right? I'm not replacing my controller batteries because I'm playing an Atari 2600. You should hook that up to Minecraft. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. Wales didn't qualify, lol. Yeah, I'm surprised that 1 year Wales did qualify. Like, my whole life it's just been accepted that for some reason England is only the team when you're playing sports. Like, it's like, yeah, so you live in England, it's kind of the United Kingdom, but you know, when it comes to sports, it's not the United Kingdom, it's 4 countries. Don't question it. Also, ties are why Americans hate soccer. I think 0-0 ties are why Americans hate football. But it wasn't a 0-0. I think if I'm being honest, right, to tie this into, you know how some people like TikToks, right? Because you can just scroll from one to the other. If you don't like a TikTok, just wait 5 seconds and you'll get a new one. Some people really like TikTok for that reason, and some people say they'd rather engage in something with a bit more meaning and depth. I feel like football has that. It's like there's a lot of close calls and a lot of ooh, and then when you finally get it, there's so much more of a cheer. Whereas like a team scores in a football or a hockey game or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's chill, I guess. That's real chill. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to engage about like American sports before. I've been like stuck in a situation where I'm with someone who's American who really cares about the sports game, and I'm trying to work out like what am I meant to do with this? Am I meant to like, you know, like engage with this and be like, oh, that's bad, huh? This is definitely bad, yeah. But I feel like it's a lot easier to tell with football in particular, and because you know I know that's why I think we have rugby here, right? It's just way less popular. You know, there's a slow burn that you get with a sport that's super old. Maybe you could argue the similar thing between also unless it's the English women's team. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. The UK is very good, particularly at women's football. That is our current niche in the world. For whatever reason, I guess we can take it. I guess we can take it. So just tell me to sod off. It's okay. You know what, David? I want to know. Yeah, actually, that is a real question. Like, one of the ways in which I'm like socially dysfunctional is I have no idea what to do when someone's watching a sport that I'm unfamiliar with. It's like, are you meant to pick up their team and support them for that? Are you meant to like ask them questions about the sport because you genuinely don't understand them? Are you just meant to pick up the vibes and just go based on that? Because they'll be staring at the screen all night. They'll be like... They look like that, and you're like, is you good? And he's like, yeah, they're just almost about to score. And you're like, okay, so I'll ignore it. And you talk about something else. And then when you talk about something else, they're like, oh, no, yeah. And then you're like, if you ignore that, they're like, yeah, he almost had the thing, and then he didn't have the thing that he almost had. That he almost had it, but then he didn't almost have it. It was tragic. It was terrible. And you're like, okay, cool. That's sad, huh? And they're like, yeah, I guess. I don't know, like it's. I feel like the only time I have the stereotypical like hard time having a discussion is when someone else is really into a sport. I guess if someone else is into any like niche interest, it can be tricky. But I feel like sport is the one where I'm like, I have the least like close by like analogies of what I would care about. Speaking of caring about, is the breeze up here? He tried to jump, but I guess he didn't make it. So we'll destroy a few of these bones, as well as these, and... Yeah, this room's coming along very nicely. I think the next thing we should destroy is probably the roof of this area, or at least these pillars. It's a small thing, but it'll show that we're very dedicated to there being nothing over there. Because as we're destroying more here, we can't actually see it from this one area. In fact, let's destroy more of this little spawn plank too. I think these are some very key areas we need to get rid of before we move anywhere else. You're meant to cheer when they cheer. No, that feels disingenuous, right? You don't just like fake cheer when you're like just because someone's cheering. You want them to cheer because they care about it, right? I don't want someone to cheer just because I'm cheering. They gotta know why they're cheering, I guess. Or maybe that's stupid. Maybe it's all stupid. You need the app from the IT crowd. Ludicrous display last night, wasn't it? Problem with Arsenal is they're always walking the ball in. Yeah, I now have like basically a whole chest of just wax blocks that we picked up. Yeah, this middle thing here is the most intimidating part of the structure. But yeah, let's destroy this first. Just a little bit to the side there. Just remove some blocks. Get them good and gone. Okay. Oh, there's lava there. That's lovely. So I'm going to just leave that there for a bit. And then destroy a few blocks around here. Get a few extra wax copper off it. Maybe a few extra wax copper off here too. Maybe these blocks also. Just really get them good and gone. And hopefully that makes this whole thing make a bit more sense. Okay, in there we go. And in here we go. And then back out to go hunt for some tough bricks. So I think I have to destroy some of the tough bricks here still. It's an easy little segment though. I'll take it when I need the easy win. I'm going to go for the easy win in this room too. I think there's one... I guess I'm wrong about that being one. Okay. Also, that means if I'm about to take down skeletons, I'm about to take down baby zombies. Oh, yeah, there they are. There they are. This is a terrifying situation to be in. I don't want to be in it. Just gonna get out of it. Okay, we roll in. Nice. So I am going to let the baby zombies hang out in that hole. Yeah, what we could do is we could set up big drop traps around the spawners, chat. So yeah, something I discovered that was really fun on Seed Sunday this week is okay, so it's gonna... Oh, he runs side to side. It's like... It's gotta be accidental, but it's so perfectly designed to lead to your death. Oh, the trial chambers are pretty tough. Indeed they are. Sports fans aren't complicated. They want their team to win. Support that and they'll be happy. Maybe I'm the one overthinking it at that point, though. Because if I'm like, yeah... Go these people. I feel maybe I come across too sarcastic. Maybe I'm just too sarcastic about everything I do believe in. That maybe everything I don't believe in is the same way. Okay, so there should be a few more baby zombies to kill. Oh no, there's not. We did them all. That's good, I think. Get me a cooked chicken for all that pain and hardship I went through. And so, yeah, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a drop trap underneath these structures as I destroy them. Because we're going to have to do it, right? We're going to have to get rid of this whole set of blocks under here. We're going to have to set some slabs up too. Yeah, we're gonna do all these things at some point. So let's do the bare minimum we need to do now. which is, I think, to say that these baby zombies are a menace to society if I leave them be. And so let's destroy a little hole around them. Just this big or so. And let's make it so that they fall in this big hole. And if they fall in that big hole, I can just crouch over them and get them. You know? And as long as I don't leave a little way out for them, we'll place like a block here. They can't get around maybe, but then I can get in and out. Also, sports fans also want that one team they really don't have that really team they don't want to win. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like that's one of the real benefits of sports. As someone who's like very sports agnostic, like I'm just not big into it. I feel like it's really cool to have this like communal feeling of like, yeah, we have this one thing. Like this is what I think a lot of people get from politics, or this is why a lot of people are like, you know, like really enjoy that certain version of politics online, at least, is this feeling of like, there is a thing we all don't want to happen. You can have a really bad day when it happens. There is this thing we all want to happen. You can have a good day when it happens. Like, it's like knowing like the weather, right? But the emotional weather. Like, is it a feel good today or a bad day? If it's all under your own control, when you're having a bad day, that sucks. If it's like, if there's a set of, you know, if it's like the weather, you shouldn't feel bad about being cold when it's 12 degrees outside. You should be concerned if you're cold when it's 38 degrees outside, though. That sounds like a problem. I don't know, it's like that. It's the emotional wins. I love watching non-sports fans watch their hated team so I can root for said team. Chaotic evil, Arden Erdvig. Okay, we get in this now. We're gonna destroy these. Should we do anything about the spiders, or do you think those guys falling down is good enough by itself? I can be convinced that that's true. Also, we just get so cluttered so often. So cluttery. So destroy this, and then destroy all of this too. And then we'll just destroy the blocks around it. It'll be fine. Ooh, when you see sports live, you get more into the spirit of it than watching it. It's kind of boring. Like, I could be doing something more interactive. Yeah, I do have to say, so the closest thing to a sport I watch is I watch some Formula One. It's racing. They go brum brum around the track. I don't know why I needed to explain it that way, but hopefully someone's like, oh yeah, the brum brum around the track. I know that. So I watched some F1, and it's kind of like it's a similar thing. Is like, you know something's going down because the energy in the room changes. Like that's a cool thing. I imagine that's, as someone who doesn't watch music, like I'm just not into music. I know that's confusing to people, but as someone who doesn't like care that much about music, it'd be cool to be in a room full of people who care. Like, it'd be cool to be in a room full of people who love, you know, like Otherside, and then Otherside comes on and everyone's like, yeah. You know, I get that. I understand the appeal, but at the same time, and you know, and one of the reasons is because I watched a little bit of F1, and during like the 2021 season, it was like the closest season they ever had. The two best drivers who are probably in the sport right now both went into the last race on equal points, and so the entire thing was, whoever finishes this race with more points wins the entire season. So it's one race to decide who is the world champion for that year. And it's like a given that one of the guys has a slight advantage. He gets ahead really early. And then very late on in the race, the second place guy, you know, the guy who's it's just been expected for the last 60 laps, the last hour. We've been here under a formality. I'm just drinking in the corner at this point. But in the very end of it, it's like, oh yeah, as it turns out, you know, despite all the stuff that happened, there's some really wild stuff on track, and now there's a chance. Now there's a chance that anyone could win it again. And then after it goes from that there's a chance to like, oh yeah, it's happening. It looks like he might win. And then he finally gets the overtake on to be number one, and everyone is going crazy because this was like an unexpectedly rare event. That's something I think a lot of people love from speedrunning too, right? Is like, when you're watching, there's like a rigidity to watching a live stream, which has very much preset expected results. It's like, you're going to beat the game, hopefully or you're going to do the thing you want to do slightly faster than you did it before. But every now and then, something rare and special happens. Like, someone commented yesterday, like, I can't believe I was here when you did this. It was during the world record run. And it's really cool, right? To watch a, you know, like, I know, like, it's even if it's something very small, but to watch something that is significant happen live and to be around a lot of other people who are watching this same thing feels good. Members only other side rave. Chat, who wants to come to an other side race? Also, stock car racing, but with trains would slap. I would love to see trains race. They should set that up. There, like, and then have, like, the trains have to crisscross over the tracks and stuff like that. This is a really good idea. Someone needs to set this up. David, you know, we need to make this work. I would love to watch trains go around the track real fast. Zoom, zoom. Okay, so this goes in there, but I don't have space for it. So I think I'm going to drop the splash potions of poison. We have too many of them, and we need some of these. The potions of poison are really kind of like unnecessary parts of this anyway. Then we put the chisel tough in there, and we drop the bones down here. And then we put the copper away. Oh, yeah, really, really piling up the weird blocks. So, on it, boss. I feel like you describing scale electrics. No, but they're trains. They go choo-choo. See, like, not brum brum. Like choo-choo, you know, very different. Hugely different. But yeah, one of the things, to finish up my thoughts. One of the things that I think makes the, hard questions kind of like, I feel like philosophy and sports almost are the exact opposites. It's not impossible to enjoy both. But one of them is about almost you know, like making yourself uncomfortable and realizing how different you are to the standard person. You know, the fact that if you try to say, should a person have the power to take someone else's life, someone goes, oh yeah, but what if someone's a pedo, innit? You know, the fact that you realize it helps you to understand that we all have internal views of right and wrong from our childhood and our experiences. Every now and then you watch a YouTuber that almost gets this. There's a YouTuber I really enjoy, and they're like, oh yeah, so I was raised in an area with a lot of wealth. And so it helped me understand that you should always give money to poor people when you can. And it's like, okay, that's a decent enough view of it to take. I guess that's one way to take that entire thing and turn it into something. And then it was like, okay, nope, they missed the entire thing. But I think one of the most valuable things that you can learn is what is sitting underneath the surface with regards to all your weird thoughts and opinions that you think are definitely like objective facts versus, oh no, perception. Perception versus reality. You can get trained scale electrics. Oh, you can? Okay, I'm so in. Okay, it's over for regular scale electrics at this point. Is there a single person who's not into trains who would enjoy scale electrics? I went to the trial chamber and died, says Armadillo. Yeah, the Armadillo armor is not very handy for this very particular frat. Gotta say, wouldn't recommend it. Feel like it was a poor decision for you to go. So I have only internal views of right and left. Okay, so that's a fun one. So I'm now going to drop. Oh God, I'm just gonna have to go back every time. I'm getting worse and worse at my inventory management, chat. It's just so full of so much stuff. That's why we need to mine particular blocks at a particular time, just to make sure we're doing better at this. Because we just pick up so many tough bricks. Speaking of so many tough bricks, I think we might have to switch our pickaxes again. Nah, we're probably doing fine. But let's go kill some of you. Heal up the pickaxe a bit. Then go kill some spiders. I'm guessing if there's a spider there, he must have spawned above. Did they spawn above, chat? No, they didn't. He just appeared. So let's go for it. I like trains. One of the only modes of transport that doesn't make me feel sick. I feel like trains are the most utilitarian form of transport. See, but that's an interesting thing, because even then, that's like, I think that there are very few people in the world who wouldn't describe themselves as utilitarian in principle, right? The idea that, like, we should achieve the best outcome for the most people. But what's interesting is when you start to pair that with actually the real world. So, for example, like, I don't know, in a lot of cities, if you don't live in a big, actually, I guess really anywhere in the world, an interesting compromise that most cities have to make is you have to decide at some point how you're going to move people around it. And the for the longest time, the way we decided was like, yeah, everyone walks everywhere all of the time. But then, you know, we've recently invented faster ways to get people around. It's very nice. And how do you decide, you know, how do you work out which ones people should use? The ideal is you'd say anyone can use any transport method they like, and you let it all go. But it's just an expected fact that you have to build roads, and also that train companies don't build their own train tracks anymore. And so at some point you have to like question which of these methods is better for more people. And the answer is really messy because of what you might mean by more people. If everyone can and does drive a car, every additional person that drives a car is an additional person that has access to a type of freedom that you cannot get without doing so. But if a lot of people start driving a car, everyone else's car experience gets worse. You know, you kind of get me? The more people who drive a car, the more traffic there is preventing other people from driving their cars. So the fewer people driving cars, the better it is for those people driving the cars. But the more people driving cars, the better it is for every additional person you put into a car, up until a certain point, depending on the density of the people or whatever. Whereas, you know, like with a train, the opposite is true. The amount of money you have to spend on building tracks and stations, if one person uses a train, it might be a fine experience for him, but like it's going to be so wildly expensive that the service is going to end at some point. So every additional person you get riding a train, every additional human being who's jumping aboard that transport, is making it better, or at least, you know, better funded, and also is taking traffic off the roads for everyone else. But the downside is then everyone has to pull journeys together, and so the best funded rail systems are where the most people are going. As Jake Riley says, in the UK that's like London and sort of Manchester and a little bit of Birmingham and maybe some Edinburgh too, if you really sort of feel like it. But the you know, like the point is that everywhere, the most funded journeys are going to be the ones that most people are doing, and then that means that if you're not going where most people are going, you've got a problem. And so, you know, even though it sounds like there's one form of transport that gets better the more people use it, and one form of transport that gets worse the more people use it, that one form of transport that gets worse the more people use it is the one that allows everyone to pick where they go. You offer a different type of freedom. You offer freedom of destination, which isn't something a train can do. A train literally goes from one set of rails to the other. And so you have to build very, very, very dense things. Do I have sharpness on the axe, by the way? Oh, I do. I should just start using the axe, right? Let's give it a try, chat. Let's see if a jump hit will one-hit KO. I guess it probably was already going to one-hit KO. Also, is it only sharpness 4? What sort of a peasant life am I living here? Speaking of peasant life, thank you, Jessup Kane. FC, I felt like destroying something beautiful. Also, hello, happy trail destruction. It's so bad in Wales that the two main reasons to go to Manchester and London are for the reasons you said. Yeah, it's, so you create a very centralized system when you do that. And so is it worth the benefits of transportation to force people to be in the same destinations? Even within the cities, right? Even within London, the busiest line of the overground versus, or busiest line of the underground, sorry, versus the least busy transport method, which I know what that is. It's probably gonna be one of the tram lines. There are, if you're not near a line on the underground, overground, or DLR or something, it's gonna be really hard for people to get to you, and so you don't really have the freedom to go there. You have the freedom to travel to particular places at particular times, and so there's a wider question about, is it okay to make transport worse for everyone if you're making everything else in their life better? Or is it better to make transport better for, you know, there's a really deep point about there isn't an answer. You are inherently at some point deciding, and so utilitarianism doesn't have a what is better, taking the train or driving a car. If it is a comparable journey, if you're going from one set of train tracks to the other, the train wins. But if you are going from anywhere else in the world to anywhere else, which is what people are always doing, then it really gets messier and more confusing. I like the underground because it goes chunga chunga. Ruby likes Sonic too. I feel like I wouldn't describe the underground as going chunga chunga. I wonder if you're on the same underground that I'm on. So, speaking of peasant life, thank you. You know, speaking of peasant life, let's all go back in time to when there were no trains and we all walked around Because walking is the only true utility. I guess walking is the only true freedom method transport. This is something I think is really true. It's something that's picking up steam recently. But I think like the idea of cars as like this ultimate freedom transport method is so untrue. You require like a license from the government to use it, which they can revoke at any time. Basically, you know, they can just do that. They suspect you of anything, right? So you've got this form of transport that's a privilege to use, that you have to use roads that they build to places they choose that you want to go there. I feel like there is like a deeper, it's not actually freedom underlying the car at some point. But, you know, that's also deeper than why I want to go here. Horses and donkeys can go most places. No. Is the horse and donkey the true form of freedom? It's always what they use in, like, westerns. So, you know, are western movies wrong? I can't imagine that's true. Car scary. Yeah, there's an interesting... There's a deeper level underneath all of that, too, which is fatality rates. I don't know if that's what you were getting at, but it is safer for everyone. Fewer people would die if every single person... Because every single day there are people who drive from, say, Manchester to London, or Cardiff to Manchester, or from anywhere to anywhere else. That there is a train alternative that is just as fast. But, you know, for whatever reason, they're not taking it. And some of those people will die in car accidents. Every day people are dying because they're not catching this train. And so even though it's not going where they want to go, is it worth going somewhere else but then not dying? And then you're gonna have the really weird question, which is, do you think that it matters how long you live, or do you think it matters the quality of the life that you live? In healthcare, they use something called like life quality adjusted years, which I think is a really useful measure we should think about more. Because if you don't adjust the quality of life in the years, then you wouldn't actually be measuring the difference between life and death. And then, you know, should anyone be measuring life and death, really? Did you ever upgrade the haste beacon? Why would I need to upgrade the haste beacon? I mean, I guess to make it go further. I was just going to move it around. By the time I got... Because I've finished this room now, right? So I could just move it slightly over there. I think that's what I want to do. I think that's my long-term ambition. Whew. So, here for a good time, not a long time, says David Solomano. Do you think, though, if you looked at your death watch, you know, like a real thing we just invent, and it shows that, oh yeah, actually, you have 18 months left to live, and would you then be like, oh yeah, I should not have done that? Or do you think you can get to that point and be like, yeah, but I had a swell time getting here? I don't know, I feel like mortality is such a hard thing to approach that most people approach it by not approaching it. I'm an introvert, and riding a train just doesn't sit well with me at all. Too many crazies out there, says Rainer Maffini. Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as being a particularly introverted thing, but that's also one of the weird qualms of public transport. Like, in places where there is good enough public transport, let's not say the very best, but when it's good enough, there is this real, like, tax that social public transport is paying on people who are highly sensitive to other people's, you know, like, I don't know, like, I had a very, very intense experience of a homeless man with a trolley yelling about the Jews on a New Jersey subway once, and I was like, oh yeah, this is an interesting experience that you wouldn't get in a car. Although then again, I had also Struggle Bunny. What do you call a pile of cats? A mountain. You're not Struggle Bunny? Thank you for the tip. I'll be getting some credit cards. Yeah, okay, thank you. That's the correct answer, chat. If you're about to also, more deep cut IT crowd references with the Death Watch. I feel like I don't remember the Death Watch from the IT crowd. I really like the IT crowd, so it's disappointing that I wouldn't remember key parts of it. But yeah, so me when I look at the Death Watch, it's in the negative. I don't know why it has to be a watch. I was picturing like the Death Note. Chat, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've gone back into Death Note recently. I haven't been watching this show. I tried watching it for a little bit, and I was like, nah, I don't want to watch this. Instead, I'm watching silly. I'm watching people who, I guess, like they call it like a YouTube poop. They take the characters and they make new dialogue for them. So a video I'd recommend if you for some reason are into Death Note and would like to relive that desire from 2007 is the Death Note crew orders fast food, very high quality. Absolute winner of the genre, if you ask me. But, yeah, God, that takes me back. Death Note Abridged. Oh, there's a Death Note Abridged? Oh, I'd love to watch that. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. I feel like that was the original Abridged. If I'm wrong about that, I'd love to know. But, really loved it, and then it eventually stopped being, like, it went from being, like, twice a week to being, like, there is one episode on a good year, if you are lucky. And it has not been a good year, apparently. So speaking of not being a good year, let's, yeah, Death Note Part 2 is the worst fiction I've ever read / watched. Of course, I live in a very rural area. Car is the only way I can travel. Yeah, so here's the thing, though, Raina Matthew. So, the same problems that you're concerned about for public transport as an introvert, right? So I drove a car in... It's happened to me multiple times, but the worst time I had it, I was in Montreal. It's the French part of Canada, and I was just driving my car from the airport to the gaff, you know, and while I was doing that, I was stopped at a left turn, which in the intersection system you use in North America is a big deal. You wait there for a long time, so you get a protected left turn thing going on. So I sat at this left turn, and I was like stuck there, right? Because you can't go forwards, you can't go back. There's a car there. There's traffic to your right, and there's a guy on the median of the road who's like shakes his thing asking for money, and it's like, okay, it's like when you're on the street, you just ignore it. And he got really aggressive with me in the car and being like, oh, it's you racist. It's because I'm black, isn't it? And I'm like, my God, this is, I don't know how you've come to that conclusion. I am very sorry that is what you have landed on as being the source of my not giving money to a person while waiting for a left turn. But also, I am very uncomfortable, and there is nothing that I can do about this because we're locked in this one together until the light changes. And I'm guessing you know that by the fact that you hang out right here. Whether he knows it or not, he's getting the best spot for awkward social interactions. And so, yeah, I found Death Note more fun to watch alongside another person, says Fuji. Okay, let's watch Death Note together, chat. Let's arrange a group Death Note watch, and then we'll have a other side rave. You want to do it? Let's do it. Okay, other side rave. Actually, you know, I bet there's a fun other side rave remix. I'm just gonna search that on other side rave. I'm gonna probably search that on YouTube because that's gone to something else entirely. There's a festival called the Other Side Festival. Other Side Rave. We've got Monolith. Okay, we got there's a song. There's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song called Other Side. Can't believe they do that to my Minecraft music. No one's made it. There's a Jag Dagger remix. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's listen to it, chat. So Death Note stream. Wait, this isn't Death Note. I'm sorry. Yes, Soul Eater is my favorite. So yeah, we can go for a nice little rave. I guess it's like everything. They both have pros and cons. I think my point is population density leads to all those things. This is not very much of a remix, is it? Okay, chat. Now everyone get out your glow sticks. Chug the nearest beverage that you can find that has poison in it, and let's have a good time, huh? Is this even a remix? Why don't we listen to the IBX Toycat remix? You're right. You know, what am I doing with this? Chat, is this even a remix? And Organi Popovich. Okay, so chat, we're gonna do a quick check on the results of the poll. I mean, not the poll, of the video. So the number of views on it has... Oh, the thumbnails have closened up. It's gone from 40.5 to 49.5 to 49.8. It might be that both thumbnails are equally good. That there is no difference in how many people want to watch based on seeing one on either. Yeah, it could be, right? It could very well be. Okay, so now we're going to get the Toycat remix going. Minecraft, Other Side, Toycat. I wonder if it'll just know if you type that. Yeah, it does. It's a high quality video. We can enjoy this together. I refuse to believe they're equal. I believe in no cross supremacy. I think they need to be drastically different, just not on X. Yeah, we'll try drastically different on the next thumbnail test we do. So probably tomorrow's video, chat. It's one I'm really excited about. Tomorrow's video will have a drastic difference, let's say. Good news via email. Oh, I got an email too, Deshi. It's from our guy, right? I'd love to hear the news.
There will be a mob vote. Democracy is coming. Who fits into your vote? You will be deciding. It is coming real soon now, but you should be careful. Otherwise, we'll have another banter in the game. Am I good at singing? Unfortunately, not though. Has that stopped me before? You'll find that the answer is no. What should you be picking? Something that is sticking. My clock is ticking, so you should be clicking. We might not all like it, but this is the way that new things are decided for the silly block game. Is there enough info? Probably could be more though. I think it's worth saying there's never more inside the show. We will see the update, but there's one thing that's true. It will not relate to mobs for me or for you. What should you be picking? Something that is sticking. Minecraft clock is ticking, so you should be clicking. Some people think that they should just not vote.
There are some perks to being Daps as Cat Beanie.
But they are really wrong about what that does to Mojang. In political theory, the way that it always works is that the fewer votes there are, the more extreme the result. Are on both sides, and that's bad. In my opinion, of course. You should vote for Crab now. What about this guy? Don't forget the penguin. Seriously, the crab though.
If you want some behind the scenes here, chat, this line right here.
Bad. In my opinion, of course.
That was originally at least in my opinion. I feel like it went a little bit better in terms of the flow. But I felt like I wanted it to sound more like a legal disclaimer. Like asterisks, in my opinion, of course. This is not legal. This is not political advice or something like that. 10 out of 10 for the dedication. Who's looking forward to this year's mob vote song? What's the context? I just came back. That was a song we made for the mob vote. Also, can we build a copper beacon to landmark the trials? That's a really cool idea, actually, Jessup Kane. I think that is a really fun one. I think we definitely should. I like that idea a lot. Because right now my portal just kind of goes out to nowhere. It's like one small step for a man, better without it. Okay, I've filled up my inventory again. So yeah, next time we come into this, we need to come with sponges, chat. We can't do this without sponges. Make music videos 24 hours. Yeah, I think we should definitely stop. You know, what I'm doing right here with the channel is great, but probably should be rolling on for that. Is it weird that I've watched that song multiple times? No, thank you. I'm glad that you have. Good to see you here on the channel. Okay, so yeah, I think we're getting to the point now where we have destroyed a healthy amount of this structure, chat. Okay, so let's do one last inventory clear out. Some red candles gotta go in here, and then some junk's gotta go in here. I've got a lot of that junk. It sure is piling up, huh? Okay, then bones and arrows end up in here. And then finally the bow, and finally the copper. And then we now have a big question, chat, which is, at this point, we have destroyed everything with spawners on, besides one over here, and then 3 over there. If we've destroyed everything below the spawners, is that enough? No, I think we got to destroy the entire thing. I think that there should be a big room with nothing in it. That is what I'm aiming for. Nope, copper beacons do not work. Yeah, it's a shame that they don't work, but I do see the logic behind them not being able to. Also, yeah, there's a bunch of spiders there. Where did they spawn from? Oh, okay, the baby zombies are going now too. So yeah, we set this up deliberately. Oh, no, I did not set this up very well. Okay, okay, it works, I guess. At least they're all spawning in the hole. That's what matters here. Okie dokie. You've got to admit, these trial spawners are much more effective when there's no blocks standing between you and them. Very, very, very handy. Okay. Look, wonderful. Ruby likes Sonic. I like to suffer. I feel like copper would massively devalue beacons. Yeah, I think... Okay, if it was up to me, Jake Riley, I think that the way I would decide it, if I'm chief dictator at Mojang Incorporated, I would say you have to make it so that each material has a slightly different benefit. So, hypothetically, if you make your beacon out of... let's say the iron beacon is the default beacon. If you make your beacon out of emeralds, you get minus 10% range. If you make it out of copper, you get minus 20% range. Make it out of diamonds, plus 10% range. Make it out of netherite, you get plus 20%. I'm using range as a stand-in for something that could be much more precise. I think that right now they make the certain effects only available via the tier of beacon. You could make it so that some effects are available based on the quality. So you could have the blindness effect only be available with netherite beacons, if you wanted to, for example. Or you could make a much more important effect than blindness. Maybe you could make the silverfish effect be an effect. You know, you could take advantage of these new effects for all sorts of weird things. I mean, you gotta kill the wither, which is worse than mining anything. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. The beacon, the resources are just there as a way to activate it, I guess. I think they should call them freak cons when they're near you and they get freaky. So yeah, with that said, this is what we've done so far, chat. One entirely destroyed chamber, one entirely destroyed hallway, a second mostly destroyed hallway, a second, I would say partially destroyed trial chamber if we were being fair and honest about that one, and then a trial chamber that we've barely touched. So one big session to end it all. Maybe 2 big sessions to end it all. But hopefully 1 big session to end it all with a lot of sponges and a lot of mining is what we need to do. Destroying a trial chamber, part 4 is coming soon to you. I don't know how soon. But what I do know is that I've had a fun time with this, and hopefully you have too. This is a slightly shorter stream. Because, like I said, my social clock has been slowly dying here, but I've been glad to spend it with all of you. I'm going to be taking, I think I'm going to be taking maybe Saturday off as a stream day, but I want to do one other stream tomorrow. I'm going to have some fun stuff involved in the trial chamber. It'll be good, I hope. As for tomorrow, I'm working on downgrading some structures in a way that hopefully you'll find fun. And also, I'm working on being alive. Hopefully you find that fun. If you don't, then sorry. With that said, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see ya when I see ya. Which is hopefully in the next one, maybe. Or maybe it's not. You know, honestly, who's to say that I ever see you again, you know? It's a parasocial relationship we have here. And your existence is entirely at your own behest. You might have said, nope, actually, that is the last time. He never even finished that point about inflation. He tried to defend it, but he didn't even do it. I reckon he's an inflation shill. I reckon he's getting paid to talk about how good inflation is. And you know what? You caught me. And you know how I'm getting paid? In inflated money. Wait, that's bad. Okay, goodbye.